Yeah, everyone, this is Thermite, and this is Weekly Shonen Jump for the week of December 5th, 2021. On the cover, we've got My Hero Academia. Once again, we had a My Hero cover last month, so this is honestly, this is a lot. And I'm not complaining about it. I don't like this cover that much, but My Hero is a good series. It deserves love. It deserves a big push, because, we're in the final arc, and, it's really, really hot right now. New movie's out. Haven't heard anything about the new movie, to be fair. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but I'll get around to it when it gets a Japanese release and then it gets subbed. But yeah, not a lot to say about this cover very much. Especially since I can almost guarantee neither of these two characters are in fact the number one. I'll save it for when I'm doing my predictions. I've got a little let me make sure I actually did this. Yeah, so right here, before I go into My Hero, I've got My Hero poll predictions ready, because I assume they're going to, have the usual, here's the top 10. So, but, I can say pretty confidently, number one is still going to be Bakugo, number two is still going to be Deku, unless, if anyone moves, it's going to be Deku. Deku might be number three. But Bakugo is definitely, he's going to be number one until the series is over. There's no doubt in my mind about that. That we would have to have, an I was gonna say we would have to have an entire arc focusing on someone else way more so, but we had that with Shigaraki, and even that I imagine, he's got to be in the top 10. But I doubt he's even number 5, which is honestly a shame because I used to not really like him, but with all the development he's gotten and what's been going on with his body and whatnot, and the fact that now he, I really do like him a lot. He's probably gonna be in my top 3, but okay, let's not do this right now, because we have so much to go through. Oh boy. I should probably say for the record, my mom's birthday was a little while ago, and in recognition of that, I was like, okay, we got to set stuff up. It was a really cool whole deal. It went really well. But because of that, I was like, well, I cannot do Jump before or on the day. And then after, I've had some other stuff I needed to do, so this is being recorded pretty late. This might come out kind of late. I apologize for that. But hopefully the unbelievable amount of content in this one will make up for that. Now, there's no Black Clover this week, which is, one thing off the list, but Black Clover's 2 minutes of reading, so it doesn't change it that much. Let's move right into The Elusive Samurai, Chapter 42. So, we're finally doing the pincer, we're coming into the middle. Let's see if, the Suwa forces can actually take the middle. Because now they should barely have the number advantage after being low on numbers this whole time. So presumably you would think that they would be able to fully win now. But as we saw last chapter, the Kokoshi is here himself. He's shooting. He's bloodlusted. We're at the point where I feel like we probably need to actually just straight up kill the Kokoshi. Before it was a clear, maybe if we scare him enough and he's so incompetent, he won't be very useful. But I think he's gone too far on the other end. He's going to be too obsessed with taking this land and too obsessed with, attacking this area. Whereas, just having someone else come in, a fresh face might look at this and go, well, we lost so much, let's not continue. That is, of course, assuming that we win. This is my own invention, a battle Mikoshi. And that does raise a good point. It is the absolute perfect coward move in that, he is putting himself into the fray, but he's not in any danger. But it presents the possibility of, whoa, we could kill the Kokoshi, let's try and do it. And because of that, he's, bleeding off enemy forces, and he's, wasting their arrows. It's a good move, honestly. Oh, I didn't even think about that. But yeah, I was thinking, maybe you could just, take out all the Palanquin holders, but yeah, there's so many other people there that can just, swap in. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, it's a tactic that only works because he has no fucking idea how to fight. This is such a thing that has not, not that it may never have been done, but, it's not something anyone would be prepared to deal with. It's too weird. Okay, my answer would be, I guess you just ignore it and, just focus on Sadamune, but then, the army is still advancing. You can't ignore this side. And if you ignore the main thing, yeah, he's going to, eventually meet up with Sadamune's forces, but then that's even worse. Because then, they have a concentrated force, and they can keep it up, potentially forever. I guess you could siege them. You could just wait it out and hope he starves. It is all for my world. No, for the Mikaido's worlds. And damn, like, seeing this turnaround is really interesting, because I assumed he just, like, snapped after, like, nearly being killed. But this clearly shows that no, he was absolutely trying to get out. He was demeaning himself. He wanted to not be in this position. He was willing to give it all up if it meant surviving. That is really interesting. Like, up until this point, I've assumed that, the Emperor was just kind of, was just sort of a puppet for, like, yeah, like, I wasn't really thinking of him as having this level of understanding of the situation. Though, to be fair, he could just be, fed these lines. We could get that twist. And it is also just really interesting to see that the Kokushi, like, even if it was somewhat petty, even if he is someone who would be very quickly corrupted by greed, that, like, at some point, like, he wasn't born this way. That this was a, like, he had ambitions of doing something better. God damn. Emperor Godaigo was a hero of incomparable drive and charisma. That is so interesting as well, because, like, yeah, we've seen the glowing eyes a whole bunch, but we haven't really seen the charisma side of it. Like, he hasn't seemed like a monster of charisma. Oh, this is so cool. Okay, clever tactic, yeah. And yeah, you can only swap them in so much. In fact, yeah, swapping them in is actually a weakness, in the sense that, like, they would have to move from fighting on the sides to, like, running over to, try and steady the thing, which would then leave them weak to being killed, which would then lead, it's to still be, like, weak. Okay, I was making sure this wasn't, like, a motion blur of, like, the same horse doing it, but no. I don't think I've ever seen a double horse kick before. Now that's an unorthodox tactic. Holy shit. Oh, only gods right in Mikoshi, and only one man in Shinano has that right. Oh, it's so... He's gotta die now. He's just gonna be executed. I assume they're probably gonna take him hostage, actually. Like, there's been very little, like, actually killing the enemy forces. And, like, yeah, this could work as a either, like, if the, like, Emperor truly believes in him, then he might, like, allow some sort of concession. And if the Emperor does not believe in him, then that would be a very clear, like, no, Emperor Godaigo, was just using you. Or you are not important enough to, like, incur a loss of forces or a loss of money or whatever. Ooh, I wonder if it's the bandits. Because we haven't seen them in a while. We know that, like, the main bandit was saved. And he was very, very scary, like, just as an enemy. So I could see this being the big, like, that we're bringing them in as, extra forces for this fight. No proper army could get through them. Aw, yeah. Knew it. Called it. Oh, this is so cool. Because, like, this also works so well as being, like, the big climax of this, like, portion of the series. Like, before Tokiyuki can actually, like, rally his own army in a year and a half. Like, this is literally every single enemy that has been fought, except for, like, Tokiyuki's uncle who died in chapter 2. But, like, everyone who's been around up to this point is converging in this final fight. It's truly a... God. This might be some of the best historical fiction I have ever read. Or, like, at the very least, in terms of, like, how do I put it? It is 100% the best, like, battle historical fiction I've ever read. Like, I've read other stuff involving armies and stuff, and that's always been like, this is interesting, kind of. But even then, they usually have to boil it down to, and then we're gonna have this special elite units that is the, those are the ones you actually care about. Whereas, like, Elusive Samurai, like, it is technically doing that with the Elusive Warriors, but, like, they're not really fighting. The fact that they are mostly just, like, transmitting information gives this, it puts way more focus on the war itself. Even if we're not, like, being forced to care about individual fighters in the war. Even if we were mostly just invested in the generals and then, like, the goons from the, like, one chapter a while back, or the previous arc. Like, more than any other series, it gives me the feeling of this is a war that you are in the middle of. And, I mean, maybe the Warriors are going to have to deal with this. Like, unorthodox force versus unorthodox force. I'm guessing that, like, they're not going to do it immediately. They're going to go over there. They're going to, like, give Shinomiya the heads up of, hey, turn around. You're going to get surprise attacked. They, managed to push him back for a bit, and then I think Tokiyuki might actually have to get into the fray. But even then, like, I don't think it's going to be a duel or anything. like we still have not really done, the peak Tokiyuki like attacking while running away. And so I could see that maybe being like when he first invents the concept. Like if it is more of a like we have to lure the bandits away, and then as we're luring them away, we whittle down their forces because the center is too important. We can't let them get to the center. Oh God, but yeah, I love what we got with the Kokushi, and I hope he. Like, I hope the ripples of this continue on. I don't really hope that he dies, or, like, I don't really hope that he lives, rather. Those are two very different statements. No, I don't really care if he dies. Like, I'd be fine with it, but I think there might be more storytelling to be done if he lives. And if he either gets to see the emperor betray him / like, show he doesn't really care about him, or if he is brought back, and then we see what the Emperor would want him to do in this situation. Like, if he is told to, to improve upon these unorthodox tactics. But yeah, I'm really glad we got this all in one chapter. Like, we see the debut of this tactic in, at the very end of last chapter. Then we elaborate on it. Then we see how it fails and how it is destroyed. It's such a perfect little mystery box of a fight. Okay. Looking forward to the bandits next time. And with that, Elusive Samurai goes into the middle, and let's catch up on Choujin X, Chapter 15, Fly. So we are finally done with the Sinker arc. We're now in, this is not an arc, necessarily. I feel like this bird's gonna talk shit. Oh, damn, okay, so, I'm really glad they didn't just, like, execute him or something afterwards. Like, it is... How do I put this? I appreciate it when a series can, like, give someone a big arc like this and then keep them around. In part because, like, this is something I've been thinking about a lot because my fiance's, been getting into the MCU, and that is one of my biggest problems with, phases 1 to 3 at the very least. I haven't really seen enough of phase 4 to make the determination. But, like, my main problem with the MCU is that, like, they keep on bringing in these iconic-ass characters, these awesome villains, like, specifically villains, and then they kill them off in one movie, and that creates this weird situation that, like, the world feels, it feels empty. Like, yeah, it is a bit silly in comics when you have the same villains who have been around for, like, 70 years, and none of them die, or, like, they very rarely ever die, or, like, they keep coming back. But at the same time, like, I get why it happens. It keeps the world full. It keeps things interesting. You keep on thinking, like, oh, what are they doing? What are they doing? Who's showing up here? Is this new character being backed by someone old? Or, like, is there going to be a team-up in the future? Is someone going to just bust in out of nowhere? But you don't really get that in something like the MCU. And you don't really get that in a lot of series where, like, anyone can die, quote-unquote. Where it is way more of a, like, the villains constantly die, the heroes constantly die. You create the situation where, like, a lot of the storytelling goes to characters that then disappear, and, like, it's fine if, a character dies and then you, like, use them to continue, like, something with a main character or a side character. Like, if the storytelling imbued in them is then carried over to someone else, if someone else is affected as a result of their actions, then all the time you spent on that character is still in play. Whereas, like, if you spend a lot of time focusing on side characters and then you don't do anything with them, it feels very wasted because it doesn't feel like you're really carrying stuff over. It's something that I have, a very love-hate relationship in Kamen Rider, for instance. Or I really like the series where we do, like, here's a monster of the week and a victim of the week, and we talk about them a bit, and then they highlight something very interesting. And then, like, even if they don't say it in the future, like, you can still think, like, oh yeah, they learned this during that arc, or this is a lesson that, is thematically relevant to that arc. And then, I really like the ones that are just like, hey, this character will in fact come back in the future. Or, like, we are building up this cast of people in the background, even if they're not enemies anymore, they're just still around. Whereas, like, when it's the type of series where, like, you just spend, like, an arc on a character and you build them up and then they are executed at the very end, it's like, this was a cool, like, one-shot sort of situation, but it's not that great. As much as I love Bleach, it's something I have a very iffy relationship with, in that sense. And that, like, I think the absolute coolness of Bleach manages to make it okay. Where they can just do a big, like, alright, we are going to give you all this information about this cool character, and then we're going to do a cool fight, and then they're dead at the end of it. But even then, like the characters I like the most are the ones who get a big fight where we learn a lot about them, and then they survive, and then they do another big fight that we learn more about them in. Ah, I really like how this is ending out. This is great. Because it is also rehabilitation, and it does create this possibility of us having other Choujin that get into scrapes, and then they're still around, and they are just still Choujin, but they're managing their abilities. Okay, so they've got their registration, and interesting. Like, I'm like focusing on the fact that this is the Showa period, but it's like Showa 57 and Showa 58 here. Or wait, no, that's when they were born, right? I mean, first of all, the fact that they are just like, how do I put it? I'm trying to remember when the Emperor died and we moved into the Heisei period. Because it was somewhere in the mid-90s, I believe. Which might line up here, but I feel like Showa 73 is too far ahead. I might be splitting hairs there. Like, either way, it's a very clear note that this series does take place, like, relative to our timeline, it would take place in the 90s. But there's still like a bunch of different things. There's different technology in existence, presumably because of the existence of Choujin. This numbering does look sequential, so are there actually 9,870 Choujin in Japan? Or like 9,870 cases? Because I assume like a lot of them might have died. But then like, are these like just registered Choujin, or like is this all Choujin? Like, would if someone were to have died, or like the hand guys, like were they given like numbers afterwards? I would assume not. Like I would assume this is just signing people up, but then it doesn't seem like this is a like like just from the number of Choujin we have seen, it feels weird to think that there's like 9,000 of them. But then again, like across all of Japan, 9,000 is not that much. Or like, closer to 10,000, I should say. I really am curious as to like what we'll do if she leaves. I kind of assumed, like, she said that she doesn't want to leave, but I assumed we would just have a situation where it's like, oh, she cannot leave, or she has to stay here for, a longer time, and that'll be like the run of the series. And then when the series is over, she'll go home. I don't know if I've ever met a human being in my life who likes eggplants. Like, outside of, something like Baba Ganoush or a, like a... I guess I have met people who like eggplant now that I say it. That's more of just my own personal bias coming out, and that, like, I only like it in very specific things, but I keep on forgetting that the reason why I have such a strong, like, dislike is because, like, there are so many cases in which I have, like, gone to my, like, a cousin's house or something, and they've made some, and I had to go, like, alright, I'll give it a try, but I'm not a big fan. I really... Usually I would say, like, my normal shonen guess would have been, like, even though she is leaving, something will happen, and it's going to, like, keep her here for the long, for the time being. But I don't think that's going to be the case. With the vibe of the series, I feel like she might just leave, and then we might just cut to her for, like, an arc in the future. Because, like, she's still, she is more tied to the villains than Tokyo is right now. And so I feel like there's way more of a possibility that if she goes home, they might still seek her out to try and get her, to like join their side, or to, absorb some of her, what they said specifically was fumes as opposed to like smoke. Fumes accompanying flames. So like there's already a story thing that would mean that she might get sucked back into this world. Whereas Tokyo living here, I feel like makes more sense as just, he'll just happen across things, or like he'll intersect with the organization. Okay. That's a really cool way of putting it. Because it immediately gives me the understanding of, like, and, this isn't just a wild metaphor. Like, I've driven on the road. I've seen how people, can suck ass. But fundamentally, anyone who is driving on a road is doing it because they want to get to a destination. And anyone who is, like, a really shitty driver is, they might be impaired, or alternatively, they might just, be doing it because they want to get to their destination faster or more efficiently. Even to the detriment of everyone else. Also, the play on with great power comes great responsibility. It is more of the, like, how do I put this? Like, the actual quote, as far as I remember, is, with great power there must come great responsibility. It is more of a, like, just because you are strong does not mean that you gain that responsibility. It means that, ideally, you should put it upon yourself. And so I do really like this as a play on that, as the idea of, like, if someone gets great power, they might cause, an awful, awful accident. They may destroy other people's, like, road to happiness. He is, kind of like Asuma in the sense that he really wants to be a hero. but it is less of a like childish, oh, it'd be so cool to do heroic things, and more of just a like he gets even pleasure doesn't really like from his facial expression. I wouldn't say pleasure. It's more just like, how do I put it? It feels more like satisfaction to me in that sense. Like it's not something that seems like it makes him giddy, but it is like, his reason in life, and it is something that fulfills him. Okay, does he actually have an answer now? What is the voice in your heart telling you? Like, is it going to be more altruistic, or are we going to get the big, like, no, it's because he wants X or Y? Then maybe I can become a Choujin who helps people too. So it is pretty darn altruistic. I'm so glad she finally, is also returning the roller boy yay. Oh, fuck. Oh. And, like, this is gonna hit her pretty hard. I mean, both as an empathetic person and also as someone who, thought the crime done was just, oh, I stole someone's roller boy yay. Shit. Okay, so mother. I wonder if that is literal or not. Like, is it more of a religious culty mother situation, or is it literally just, his mother turned into a giant fucking, hand Choujin? Also, I do actually wonder now, like the fact that Ellie has his power, I think, like, I was thinking of it as just a, like, maybe they'll try to sway her over, but obviously that's not going to work. But I wonder if they could, like, perform Choujin, like, surgery on her. Like, I doubt you'd be able to just, like, implant, like, different abilities from, different Choujin into the one person. Like, I don't think you could do a Nomu situation. But if it is fundamentally the same ability, like, even, being, it stems from a singular person. If that's the case, I wonder if you could do that. Oh, boy. After all of this, I would have taken a fucking taxi. I would have tried, maybe not hitchhiking. Hitchhiking would be bad, but, like, I might just rollerboy yay to Gaga. It's on island, is it? No, I didn't even think about that. It is 10 million yen. She does love money. It's possible she'll turn back just because it is 10 million yen. Like, that's a fuckload. And as long as, like, the machines and everything are working well at the farm, it's not like she needs to be there. Like, this might be more lucrative than just going back and making sure it's all okay. I mean, that also, like, I was thinking of it as an initial, like, oh, first of all, he's dangerous. Is she gonna have PTSD getting back on the plane? Then I was thinking of it as the money thing. But now I just realized, like, oh yeah, also, she literally just, talked to that grandparents. It's possible that she also wants revenge. Like, it's the combo of, I'm going to punish him, and also, I will make 10 million yen. So I can justify it either way. God. I love this dialogue. It feels so naturalistic. Oh. Okay, is she the mysterious transfer student? It is wild to think they're, like, in the same class, or, like, the same age. I wonder if she actually went through the, correct channels, or if she just walked into the school and said, I'm transferring in. I assume she went through the real channels, but... Okay, this is such a good gag. Honestly, the balance of action to comedy in Choujin X is so interesting in that, like, for a non-gag series, the gags are honestly a lot better than most gag series that are running in Jump right now. Like, I read almost all of the gag series on and off. It's just, I'm not super into a lot of them, so I don't, like, do them on the channel. But, like, this isn't, like, me and Roboco levels of wacky and weird. It's more just, like, a lot of these are structures that are, more common, but I'm always surprised when we pull them out, because it's, none of them are ever, like, overused. I guess that is part of the strength of being able to put out chapters whenever you feel like it, as opposed to, like, on a hard schedule. Okay, she wants to be a vigilante. I mean, the three of them could actually, like, make a trio now. Especially since, like, they don't have licenses, but they have the provision of, if something bad is happening, you're allowed to use your powers, but, just in order to defend yourself. Like, it very much opens up the possibility of them, being amateur Choujin hunters. Especially with, the concept of Choujin attract other Choujin. Like, I'm just thinking about that. Like, that does actually make it, with a lot of other series, it'd be very suspicious. After a point, you'd be like, well, yeah, obviously they have to be, intentionally seeking out this kind of thing. But because of their powers, and, like, as long as Tokyo and Ellie are, together at the same time, it would be very easy to then say, like, yeah, we happened to be around, and then the Choujin came after us, and then we had to defend ourselves for almost all of them. Especially since, like, if it's a extremely violent enemy Choujin, either they're not going to be captured or they're going to die. Whereas, like, if it's someone they can talk down, anyone they can talk down would then say, like, oh, no, they did help me, so it's fine. So yeah, this is honestly a very possible setup. Yeah, I want to see more of, like, all three of them. This is so, like, not what I was expecting. I really, really thought Ellie was, in fact, going to go back home. But I'm into it. Okay. But yeah, I'm really happy with all the progress. It's very, like, character-focused. It's very strong. The comedy is good. The action is good. I'm not getting burnt out on anything. And whatever's going on with Chandra, like, this is the most information we've had about him. If he is, like, just working with his mom, if there's no, like, secret dark Choujin underworld, or, I mean, we've seen, like, gangs and stuff, but, like, if he's not part of some sort of, like, enormous Japan-wide conspiracy, that also makes me really excited. Like, it means that, whatever his conclusion might be, it might be, like, something smaller and more intimate, as opposed to, this enormous thing that'll take 300 chapters to, completely resolve. But we'll see. That is Choujin X. I will slap that. This Elusive Samurai was really, really good, but I think I have to give this the edge. It was just like, what it lacked in, something I was, like, specifically stating as being, this is the best thing ever. It makes up with just generally being really, really good on a bunch of different degrees. And with that, let us move on to Shoten, Chapter 2. Just so I'm not constantly behind, I will do chapters 2 and 3. But because, like, this is a long-ass chapter 2, and I don't know how long chapter 3 is going to be, like, because of that, like, with, like, catching up on other series, like Choujin X and whatnot, I kind of just did, like, a big block without really, like, spacing it out. With these, I'll do timestamps, and I'll treat them as separate chapters. So, Chapter 2, Comedy and Range. I wonder if they will ever actually make Taio's, visual sense work. Because it's trying so hard. Like, the series knows it's not funny. Like, that has been the joke, as of chapter 1. But I wonder if they'll be able to, like, parlay it into something interesting. I can't believe, even in this series, they're gonna try and go to Koshien. So, okay, before we do that, they've got, like, a preliminary. There's a high school comedy battle put on by a local theater. Alright. So yeah, like $100, that's not that much. It's, pretty low stakes. It's a really good place to try and test themselves. I'm really curious to see how this is gonna go. Because, yeah, like, if he was the kind of person who, said, I have any interest in comedy, really, I think it'd be a lot easier. Whereas, like, he's been trying to hide it so much. Like, there's no way that they know that he likes comedy, even. Like, this would be like if I told my parents, I really want to get into rocket science. Oh, no, he's definitely going to come into a costume, right? Okay, damn, never mind. Oh, yeah, and I forgot he was a celebrity when he was a kid, so... No, this is actually very useful. Like, this is way less of a, like, hey, this crazy guy I met wants me to go into comedy, and way more of a, like, no, this person who is into showbiz, who is, like, a person you guys even know, like, this person wants to get into comedy, and he thinks I've got what it takes, and we're gonna do it together. Damn. It's kind of embarrassing to admit I didn't know that, so I'll just pretend I did. Oh, he's really forecasting this one. You see, Taio, Azamichi is studying to get into Tokyo U. Oh boy, this is gonna be a real rough sell. Honestly, these two pages really get across that they're all characters in their own rights. So it might not be that difficult to, like, get them to go, to accept that he wants to be a comedian. Oh boy. Oh yeah, this energy is difficult. Hazamichi isn't going to cram school. Okay, he's going. He's doing it right now. Hazamichi's going to be a comedian with me. Oh, this uncomfortable look is so bad. Like, I've been in this situation before. Where, like, my fiance has talked to my parents, and he's been like, this is this thing, and, like, we've both agreed on it beforehand, but I'm clearly uncomfortable, and so, to an outside observer, it sure looks like he's, forcing this upon me, when it is like, no, I want this, it's just, I'm terrified of saying it, and I was not expecting you to do it now. Oh boy, okay, how's this gonna go? Oh no, this timing! This timing! Oh, this is so nerve-wracking. This feels like he's coming out as a comedian. Okay. Oh, he was clearly baiting him. This is the most, like, I'm gonna agree. No. Look, I'm sorry. It might be mean to say, but I cannot imagine you being funny. This is the danger of not showing your parents that you have any interest in comedy. Oh. There's no way that Dad isn't doing this as a bit. The comedic timing is too strong. Oh, here's what you will do. Father, Mother, and Fuka, you must make all three of us laugh. Oh. And okay, so this is the big boss battle. I've never seen it happen. I've never seen the three of them bust up laughing, even once in my life. But, like, based entirely on the dad's comedic potential, like, there is a difference in my mind between just being weird and quirky as a person, which, you know, a lot of series do that. It's just a general, like, by the way, this character also has, like, a weird, funny bit that they do sometimes. I feel like there is still a difference between that and, like, how comedic they all are. I feel like they're just repressed. I feel like that's gotta be it. Ah. So, okay, this also makes sense as a big, like, reason why he wouldn't want his son to do it. Like, if he also had a artistic pursuit like this. What do you mean you're giving it up? But why? Because, yeah, it's not that anyone shouted him down. It might be because he, like, started a family. Like, I've seen that one before. It might be a hard, like, he was willing to do this up until he realized he needed to support someone. Oh, boy. I wonder if she's going to try and spy on them. Because I imagine this is not going to be that funny to watch. Like, A, because they're, like, gearing these jokes specifically towards his family, and B, because they still seem to be pretty damn rough when it comes to, like, talking out loud. Like, Chapter 1 was such a big, like, we're going to just do this in the moment, and this routine is set up specifically to take advantage of the fact that I am quiet and don't know what's going on. Whereas, like, they can't do that again with his parents. Oh, they'll chuckle under their breath, sure, but I have never once seen them laugh out loud watching comedy. Never. And to be fair, now that I think about it, this does explain why he was so, like, in addition to it just being clear, like, you know, comedians are not respected. He doesn't want to tell his family he wants to be a comedian. But there's this extra layer of, like, if your family isn't, like, super goofy, then I can understand why you would be very, you know, hesitant to even bring up comedy, like, not even as a profession thing, but why you wouldn't even, like, try to make them laugh. Like, I don't want to be a professional comedian, but I do still try to, like, make my parents laugh sometimes just to do it. Oh, this has to be a specific critic, right? But this is such an interesting way of putting it that I don't think I've seen anyone say before. Like, if you haven't been comedy pilled, then you won't understand why it's funny. It's the reason why I will, you know, say something extremely absurd that I think is funny, but, like, I have to be super careful about it. Because if it's with, like, my parents, for instance, like, there's so much, like, just, you know, media and content and stuff that I consume that they don't. And so, there's a lot of times where, like, I'll have a funny bit in my head, but I can only, like, say it on Twitter. I can only, like, say it to someone I know as a friend. And even then, the more referencey it is, or the more specific it is, the more dangerous it is in terms of, like, not like I'll be in trouble, but more in the sense of, like, I know I'm going to say this and it's not going to get a response because they won't understand that it's meant to be a joke, or they can't comprehend why it would be funny. They're going crazy over something unfunny. Unfunny. It doesn't have to be funny. What is the plan? Is it going to be anti-humor? Oh boy, I do not know what they're gonna aim for. Also, this artist is so damn good. Like, they are wild and over this. It's only a sign of how much I love you that I refuse to laugh at this. I've been reading all kinds of extremely depressing novels in preparation. Oh no! I'm going to watch your routine while cradling this picture of our good boy Ralph who passed away last year. This is so cursed! Because also, I don't know if Azamichi's going to be able to perform correctly while looking at a picture of his dead dog. There's a clear definition of what counts as laughter. God, his family is so unbelievably whack. Yeah, I feel like they have extremely thick comedy hymens. Like, they are so absurd, and I can understand now, like, also why he has such a strong knack for comedy. It's just that, like, none of them understand what comedy is, or like they take all the stuff they're doing as being so normal. They haven't really considered how unbelievably insane it is out of context. Or like from anyone else's context it is. Oh, I cannot believe we're in chapter 2 and we've already gotten to like essentially comedy battle manga. So okay, how do you make them laugh? Okay, I already get what they mean. I mean, this is the classic, Japanese phrasing thing of they say it like this, and so it's so specific that I don't really get what they're saying. But once it's more elaborated on, it's like, okay, this is just a strange way of phrasing it. For YouTubers, funny YouTubers themselves. I get it. I've never actually seen it phrased like this. Like the idea that like the comedians should also be in a bubble of not funny. Which, I mean, that's, iffy. Like, there are definitely some comedians where part of their charm, part of their power is the fact that they laugh at their own jokes. Like, they create their own infectious laughter energy that then permeates into you, and then you are laughing both at the jokes and also at the fact that they're laughing so hard at the jokes, or they're laughing in a weird way or whatever. But yeah, traditionally, you don't want the comedians to be laughing at their own jokes. Or especially for like a Manzai duo, you're supposed to feel like, oh, one of them is actually angry and the other one is actually, an idiot. We don't need to make something that anyone would find funny. If we narrow our range down to the hurdle, creating something funny gets so much lower. And so we did, like, they're already super weird, but like based on like, the previous day. So we've got the rice cooker. That's, a very obvious, like, we just saw that. That's so funny. Watching the commercial, I feel like, is gonna come up. His sister didn't really say anything that was that absurd, though. To be fair, she did faint, actually. This is probably it. Like, they could make a joke about him having an affair. Or I guess one of them admitting to an affair and the other one fainting over, and then everyone going like, holy shit, right, she did that. Because, yeah, nothing else we've seen thus far would really work with that. I mean, I guess the ultimate, like, we could do, like, they try each one of those, and one of them fails, and then they, back up with one of these. Like, I can't believe you read these depressing novels, or why do you have a picture of my dead dog with you? It's really hard to concentrate with that. Or something like that. Like, something that brings out the absurdity of this situation as well. You have 3 minutes! It's so tight! And okay, so they are going to, like, aim them at each person, as opposed to, like, trying to come up with jokes that they would all laugh at because they all have the context. Okay, yeah, since they brought Dad, like, this has to be, the punchline is definitely going to be the rice cooker. No outside person is going to find this even remotely funny. But this isn't for them. It's a pointed sphere, aimed right at my dad's heart. Let's go! And true, like, this is pretty laser focused in the sense that, like, he was the one doing it, which creates this added layer of, like, this is ridiculous. Whereas I was thinking of it as, like, the whole family saw that, and so they might think it was funny. Again, that is so hyper-specific. Because, yeah, like, even the rice cooker one has, a layer of, it's absurd that, this, fancy place would have your rice cooker from home. But this one is, like, not even calling out the joke. It is a specific, like, what this is like. When you are, at the Shibuya crossing, and you get distracted by a sign, you're like, oh, I'm looking at this, I have to look at this ad. I can't walk across the street because I'm looking at this ad. Oh, all that's left is... Short skit, crime and punishment. This one's trouble. I don't even know if it's funny or not, and I wrote the damn thing. Oh boy. The classic, most dangerous move of creating a joke based on something you have not seen. I've got your artisanal comedy right here. Eat it, little sis. I've not read Crime and Punishment, so I don't think this is going to work on me in the slightest. Got her. I don't know how, but it made her laugh. Honestly, this is so well written in the sense that it also kind of assumes that you, the reader, have not read Crime and Punishment, and so the gag out of universe is not that you find this funny, although maybe it's funny if you've read Crime and Punishment, but the gag is more so you also don't know if this is funny or not, but it's funny that she laughed at it. What have I done? Put away this picture! Asamichi, you can't. Oh, that's dirty. That's so dirty. Oh, his dad truly has the highest comedic potential of any of them. Because, yeah, like, if we think of it as being like a power level, the fact that he laughs twice means that, like, his understanding of comedy is greater than the other two. In the sense that, the thing targeted him made him laugh, and also he, knows enough about his wife to also find the ad thing funny. Plus, like, they both have the glasses. Like, his dad, is always super shiny. You never see his eyes. Even the flashback, I noticed, like, you don't see his eyes ever. Whereas you can see Asamichi's eyes. But, like, that also lends credence to the idea that, like, his focusing in all that, like, his desire to... Like, how do I put it? Asamichi's, like, desire to be a comedian, to perform, is somewhat, rooted in his dad. Like, they're two peas in a pod. Aww. So, okay, it was because he met her. And because she did give him the big, like, I like you, but you can't play, you suck. I mean, to be fair, this is my nightmare as well. Like, thinking back and going like, oh, I have wasted like 15 years of my life. Like, I've wasted all this time I should have spent on other stuff. And this is honestly such a strong point. Like, yeah, it is so much easier to, tell someone, yeah, you should go do this crazy thing when you have, when you're way more rooted. Like, it's fundamentally why, like, when I was a teenager, it was so easy for me and my friends to talk about all that crazy shit, and then, like, once I even hit university age, and, like, some of my friends got jobs and others, went into higher education, like, it immediately got way more tense, and you could really tell, like, who was stable and who wasn't by, like, how idealistic they were in, like, not in a, like, I want this to be good for the world sense, but just in a, like, I will tell you that you should do something super wacky sense. If this were a manga, I'd suppose I'd be the stubborn, cruel villain. But the thing is, Asamichi, the bigger that dream is, the more important it is that your supporters be responsible. The most important thing of all is that I want you to be happy. God, that's so... And we do finally get to see his eyes, too. Like, we do transition from, like, shiny eyes to, like, and then seeing his eyes close through his glasses, and then finally seeing them open here. But okay, so we're building it up to, if you win this, then you can be a comedian. So, amping up the stakes way more than just, like, 10,000 yen. But at the same time, like, I do appreciate this. I can totally buy, what the series is saying here. I do think this does make him a good dad. He's got a talent for encouraging others. Which both ties into, him giving encouragement to his son, and also, like, the fact that he was, like, so hesitant to say yes, and that he was, like, pushing him so hard. It is a clear, like, I'm going to make certain that you aren't half-assing this. God, that was a really good chapter. Let me just laugh that right to the top. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about it besides, like, I really like the structure of it. Like, setting up how they're going to lose in the first day and then, hitting it on the second day. Like, for a comedy series, and for one that is about, like, again, explaining the joke, and that it is about, like, talking about comedy as well as being a comedy. Like, it's such a tricky thread to thread, and I'm really happy they're pulling it off. God damn. Let's see what the next chapter has to bring. Shoten Chapter 3. Comedy and announcing defeats. Are they gonna lose this one? Also, in my mind, I totally flipped. Like, I was thinking of it as Oba was doing the story and someone else was doing the arts. But yeah, this is very much Obata's art. So I guess what I should say is just, damn, big props to Akinari Asakura. Like, so far, this writing is so damn good. I mean, that's also concerning. Like, in the sense that, in a meta sense, the fact that what they're going to do is a joke we've already seen. Like, that doesn't give me too much hope. Because that makes me go, like, well, if it's not something that we as the audience are going to find extra funny, then is it going to win? Hey! I'm really glad that she's, here. Like, I doubt she's going to join their side, quote-unquote, but I like the idea of her being around as, like, their, main supporter, and as the person who, like, sees them grow into being comedic talents. It is actually really cool that also, yeah, like, it doesn't seem like they have talked about anything besides just straight up their comedy. Like, last chapter we had the big, like, oh, I didn't even know he was in a, a drama or anything. And then here we have the, oh, I guess she's from the student council. Like, they are friends, but in a very surface level, like, just because they like comedy way. That makes me really excited. Because, like, that does mean I feel like we're going to have an arc where they delve deeper into each other and they talk about, deeper things to each other because they need to understand each other more. Like, whether or not they win this one, we're going to have an arc where they realize, like, oh, we don't understand each other well enough in order to, like, reach the deeper levels of comedy. Whereas, like, if you look at this duo was able to win because they understand each other and they were able to ad-lib something in the moments and they were able to play off each other perfectly. I bet, like, a big, a massive comedian probably came in, right? Like, not like an established person, but probably like, the big prodigy of Japan probably showed up. Oh boy. In this particular instance, we've got one team that is head and shoulders above everyone else. Oh, finalists from Roboco. So this is the immediate, like, they're going right into the defense. Oh, it's Sprecher. Now they also just look like a comedy duo. They have such Japanese comedian energy. Yeah, there's no way that just doing the classroom sketch is gonna be, like, give them the win, right? Oh. Honestly, it's so cool that she, like, has like, not only is she, like, completely certain that they're gonna fail, but she's already coming up with ways in order to fudge this that they won't really lose, and they can try again next time. Ah. Until recently, I might have actually taken you up on that offer, but not anymore. I'm done with running away. Just gotta win. Oh, I bet he recognized someone else here. Like, we might also get the big twist of they beat Sprecher, but then one of the other duos that he's more connected to, or, that has someone that he knows from the past, like, they managed to win, and so Sprecher actually got number 3. Oh, boy. Oh, that's so cool. Like, having him come in and try to, change things. It'll come down to whether or not they figure out what makes this venue unique. So yeah, it'll give them more time to try and figure out this riddle. And yeah, like, the idea of, like, going at the end is that, like, everyone's been warmed up, they're all laughing, they're all having a good time. But, I wonder what would work against them then. I mean, part of it, like, because there are, like, other actual pros, it might just be that people are expecting a way higher, like, ceiling to the comedy than just, like, when you actually go to a super amateur comedy club and it's all people, like, trying for the first time, or people who are super duper amateur. And yeah, it's a diverse audience, which also means they can't do anything too specific. Like, the classroom sketch works so well because, like, they were playing 2 students. But with all these people, like, how many of these people are going to laugh at a specific thing that would happen at Japanese high school? Also, there's 2 chus there, so it is like Sprecher. Here we go. I'm really curious to see, like, are we gonna see their whole skit or not? Oh, he's going so hard. Okay, this is a pretty damn good sketch. Is this some kind of humble brag exhibition? Oh, like, the contrast of how punky looks and, like, the whole, like, I do really good things sketch is so perfect. It honestly really helps. Like, Obata's, like, reaction faces are genuinely some of the best in the game. Like, I can't believe I've read so many gag manga that are not this good. Like, that's also something that blew me away in Bakuman, which is not a gag manga, but still has some of the funniest expressions I can think of. It's a slow-paced, character-heavy routine with a low joke count, but it's perfectly executed. Oh, boy. Like, yeah, coming up right after this would be horrifying. Like, there's no way the next group doesn't immediately bomb. Whereas, like, if you're playing at the very, very end and no one else, like, you're super far away, that would help a lot more, because then hopefully the crowd has kind of forgotten that initial performance. So yeah, I'm calling that. He's confident now because he's like, yeah, this is good, but it's going to be the fact that everyone else bombs that terrifies them. And that is surprising. Like, yeah, this is a new routine, which also makes sense as to why they would be doing it here in the first place. Like, they're testing out new material. Oh, here we go. All the ellipses. So awkward. But yeah, it's not funny, and this is like so laser focused on just these guys. I wonder if these are their friends. It might not be. Like, to be fair, this is something I would laugh at. So I can understand the idea of, like, being the one, the two people in the crowd who think this is funny. But yeah, I think it's gotta be, like, as they said before, it is that all of these jokes only work on very specific people, and this is an insanely diverse crowd. Like, what can you possibly do that will make all these people laugh? Like, you would have to go with something very broad. So I think, yeah, they're gonna immediately realize, like, oh, our jokes are only gonna be funny to high schoolers. None of the other people here are gonna laugh. In a sense, the act of laughter is a way of announcing defeats. The reason that idol singers get laughs for pointless comments between songs is because the people watching already love the person on stage. They think, I'm willing to laugh at anything she says. Oh no. As someone who is not super into VTubers, but who has been watching a few, I feel like I'm being called out. This is the most, like, yeah. When you're watching total strangers you never heard of, and they come out like, oh, you're gonna love us, we're so funny, people just aren't gonna crack up. Which makes sense, because, yeah, also, I was thinking about the initial thing as just being a, like, it's so well executed, but also, they are known. They are celebrities already, all the people in those seats right now are either fans of Sprecher or friends of the other contestants. So, yeah, I was thinking of it as just, like, so many different types of people here, but it is also specific, like, yeah, it is just their friend groups that are laughing. Whew. Oh, and yeah, they didn't even bring anyone over. And she's out here in the, like, still working out here. So even she can't laugh out and, try to get the crowd going. They're going to have to improv something right here, right now. And they are at the end. So they could come up with something about, like, the audience. And, like, they could try some attack comedy. That is my initial instinct of, like, insult the audience and point out how awkward it is. Or, like, hey, you guys, you haven't been laughing at all. What the hell is going on? I feel like I can recognize this specific trio, right? Like, this guy's on Gaki a lot, or, like, on the year-end show. Is this the guy who keeps on, like, putting air into his butt and he tries to hold it in and then he never actually manages to do it? I need to write the routine that will win this event. Oh boy, here we go. I am so excited. It being hopeless isn't going to make them quit. They're going to do it because it's hopeless. This is it. This is exactly what the comedians I love are supposed to do. This is so cool. This is so perfect, because, yeah, it is a fundamental, like, yeah, she likes comedians that are doing stuff that is not going to, succeed in all. That sounds like everyday Shijimi. So excited they can do it. I believe in them. Next year, I'm going to team up with this guy. Trust me, he's a genius. So, yeah, I think it's gotta be, for sure, like, one of the other groups here has to be his former partner. Oh, we're not going to get to it! There's a different way to fight when you're in hostile territory. When the wall's too high, you don't smash it or jump over. You squeeze under it. So what does that mean? Because I would think smashing it would be, like, attacking the audience. Like, attack humor. And then jumping over would be, like, just doing something so incredibly good that everyone goes for it. Squeezing under it, I don't know what it would be. My guess is it's going to be, like, just very broad comedy. Like, they're going to aim for something that is just universally funny. Because that is also kind of the initial thing. Or, what, I can never remember their name, Sprecher did. Like, part of it is that everyone likes them, but also, like, their thing was not a specific, like, you're going to laugh at this if you are X kind of person. Like, maybe if you are, in fact, Yakuza. But it was way more of just a, like, this doesn't appeal to any of you in particular, but all of you can understand the concept of, this extremely punk, extremely, like, sketchy-looking guy being extremely nice. You can already understand why that is funny to begin with. So I think that's what they're going to aim for. Like, I can't specify anything about that specifically. But I think it's going to be more of just a, like, a moral joke. More of a, like, instead of focusing on a hype, like, a specific thing. And I especially don't think they're going to do anything about them being students. I think they're going to have to go for something that is just a, like, universal comedy move. Like, maybe something involving farts or punching or something. Oh, boy. But yeah, fantastic chapter. And honestly, the fact that we did not get, like, a resolution to this one makes me really happy. Like, the series is already, like, first chapter sold me, second chapter also sold me. This is, like, this feels like the start of actually the story. Because this is not the chapter where we see them lose or win. It also means that they might be able to pull this off completely. But I'm still going to go for the prediction of they managed to get second place, and then first place is a group we have not seen yet. Most likely a group featuring, like, the other partner. So we shall see. I'll put this below Choujin X. But this is like right up there with Choujin X. It's so good. Shoten is fucking great. All right, next we have Doron Dororon, Chapter 2, Elusive Samurai. I still gotta say, in terms of mascot characters, this is such a good design. And the visual of him, like, having the, like, katana hilt is also really good. The aesthetics so far are pretty darn strong. Like, not fantastic. Like, this doesn't even give me the vibe I got when I looked at Jujutsu Kaisen of, like, oh, well, this is very distinctive at the very least. This is too, like, in between Jujutsu Kaisen and something more polished. But I appreciate any series that has, like, a clear, interesting aesthetic to it from the very, very start. Like, even ITLC, which I was not a big fan of as a series, I can still appreciate by, looking at the volume covers and, like, having seen the arts, like, it was very, very immediately distinct. So from the very start, so this has been a, like, heroic Mononoke. And I wonder how long, like, can Kusanagi stay in any of these forms just indefinitely? Or would it be a situation where even if he was, like, a hat or something, they would have to, like, switch back every once in a while? Yeah, a hat is, I would easily go with that. Like, that seems so obvious in terms of, like, is up there, has a clear vantage point, is not really conspicuous, and, like, who's going to yell at you for having a hat? And, like, even if you're at school or something and you can't wear the hat on, you can just, like, put it on something, or you can walk around with it, and no one's going to say it's weird that you're walking around with a hat. It's clearly just like, oh, you're in this area where you can't wear the hat, so you took it off. What is more inconspicuous, really? Maybe, like, a scarf? Like, that might be weird in the summer, but that's all I could think of. Because, like, clothing, I think, would be, like, like a shirt or, a pair of pants. Like, that would be too intimate, I think. That would just feel weird. The visual of Kusanagi, like, literally being twisted up is so good. Such strong emotions. I needed to hide and forgot I can't swim. How are Mononoke created? Like, how did Kusanagi get into this position of caring about people and, like, having this sense of justice, but also, like, I mean, I guess to be fair, this is forgetting. This is not I've never been in water. It's just I forgot I can't swim. But okay, going as a hat for now. I still think hat is the smartest move. And this also raises the question of, like, how do you intervene here? Because, like, you have to save people, but, like, do you just wait until the Mononoke have knocked out everyone around before you go in? Like, it's the classic problem. Something like Candy Flurry also had this problem of, the main character, being the most wanted candy user, and also, like, having to intervene and be seen over and over again. Okay, here we go. Dang. And yeah, that is just a one-shot. Can they just win over, like, members of the Izanagi Corps just by being nice? This is honestly such a cool idea. Like, I'm not sure how well this is going to work out in the short term, but in the long term, I think this is a good decision. It's the same thing as, like, being a, like, a superhero. And you have to initially get over the hurdle of, in a world without normal superheroes, or in a world without someone like you, people have to get used to it. But if you put yourself out there, hopefully, people see you as more of a hero and, not a menace. Oh, right. I forgot that his mom said that. They're the stray leak samurai. And the cat with little kittens. God damn. The series is really winning me over. Oh, headphones is such a cool idea. Okay, yeah, that's even better than a hat. He just looks like Drip. So, okay. what is she gonna do? Like, I assume she's going to be like the secondary lead, so I doubt she's gonna turn them in. But maybe they're gonna duel or something. So far, I'm feeling pretty good about this. This reminds me a little of, weirdly enough, like the thing that this reminds me the most of is Bone Collection, just like minus the harem elements. But it fundamentally has the same energy of like, this is a world where this monster is, not liked, but we're going to show the world that in fact you should like this monster because it's purely altruistic. Yeah, I don't have that much else to say. Like, the art is decent, the fighting is okay, but like we haven't gotten a extreme fight. Like, it's been way more character focused, which I do appreciate. I just think that like within the next few chapters, like, in volume 1, because the first chapter is super long, like within volume 1 we need to have a banger of a fight. Because like, I'm sold on the characters, I'm sold on the setting, more or less. Like, it's not the best, but it's pretty darn good. But I don't think that, I don't have high hopes for the series if we don't also get a very clear, and this is why you want this to get animated, and why you want this to get a super awesome anime. Like, that really is the trend now of, like, the manga running in Jump are, if they're not gag series can do whatever. But if they are an action series, they're way less geared towards, like, this is action for manga readers, and it seems to be way more of just a, like, you want this to get adapted. Which, again, is not necessarily bad, but it is a very different sort of style of battle. Like, how do I put this? There's a lot of fights in, like, early Naruto. Like, Bleach fights are all fights where I think, like, yeah, this would look super banger. I want to see this happen. It's super stylish. But there are a lot of fights in, like, even Naruto isn't quite right. But it's more right. In the sense that, like, when I think of the earlier, like, shonen series I got into, like, the shonen series I could read at my library when I was a kid, like, a lot of them, like, also stuff like Black Cat, for instance, like, a lot of them have fights that are not, like, absolute Sakuga bangers, like, stuff where you look at and you go, like, this would be so insanely good in animation, but it is, like, they tend to be way more character-focused. Whereas I feel like, most series that I've been seeing as of late feel way more like they are aimed towards immediately hitting you with the bangers. They immediately make you want to, like, see them animated, or you want to look at a fan animation, or you want to see it, like, done, by a studio. There's an immediate, like, three-dimensionality, or an immediate, like, extremely cool hook to the way it looks. More so than just, like, this is going to be a very impactful, very easy to look at fight. It is actually very fun that, like, like, the fight in the previous chapter is kind of a banger, but not super. And this one was also, very intermittent. It was way more just like, we're doing the fight in order to have the fight be done. Just because, like, we need to do it. But fundamentally, it's way more about, the tension before the fight and the tension after the fight. And that is something that, like, that's the kind of thing that I haven't seen that much of in modern, like, Shonen Jump series. But I might be talking entirely out of my butt, so feel free to call me out if you think this doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Because, like, as I'm saying it, I'm also waffling. I cannot in good conscience put this above, like, even chapter 3 of Shoha Shoten. It's, like, right there. Next, we have Protect Me, Shugomaru, chapter 3. Protect me from Hebihara, Shugomaru. Is this an assassin? It can't be the teacher from last chapter. Did I bring this up? Like, did I say last chapter that I thought that, like, her parents would just fix the school? Because if I didn't, then, that missed opportunity. Now this is such a specific cut. And this is one that I can vibe with. I love these little dolls. I've been meaning to, like, as an adult, pick up the cat family that I still see, like, in stores. Why should my own bodyguard be the leading cause of damage? It's them, the Destroyers. The deadly duo, the terrible twosome. It is interesting that, like, he has a dragon theme to some of his designs, and especially in chapter 1, it was, like, almost all of them. But, like, he has been branching out with, like, doing other stuff. Like, these arms, like, these hands could be dragon themed, but they don't look scaly. They just look weird. Whereas this is just straight up not a dragon. This gift from the heavens is the only one who puts up with us. Death's still on the prowl for a BF. Consider this. Anyone who would dare flirt with you now is guaranteed to be the assassin. It makes me upset because he's not wrong. He is, in fact, completely right. Like, he has made her such an unbelievable pariah that there is no man on the planet, there is no high school boy who could possibly approach her and be like, yeah, I'm going to risk death in order to do this one. And to be fair, that is a flirt. That is one hell of a line. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, so he is just a pickup artist. So yeah, absolutely not. Kill this man immediately. Shugomaru, go for it. My dream is to get friendly with every female on Earth, and today my target is lucky little you. Yeah, he's also almost certainly not a high schooler, right? This ain't a high schooler physique. This has to be a 20-something-year-old man, at least. Finally, something that Shugomaru can do. Yeah, I don't think he's Skull. I doubt he's related to Skull in any way, but this makes sense. This is completely fine. Oh, this three-part gag is so strong. He could go all the way! But at the same time, this does worry me because, I don't think she's really gonna fall for him. Like, she's smart enough to understand that, he is 100% just a player that just wants to get into her pants. However, I mean, he wants to get into her pants and also her pocketbook. However, she is so touch-starved at this point, and she is so, desperate to have Shugomaru not be her boyfriend, or, for people to not think that she might do it just to do it. Endless Dragon. Oh no! This one wasn't even it was an accident, but this one wasn't even I'm going to try and hit this ant in order to, protect your life. This was just fundamentally, his finger slipped. True boyfriend material, I see, but I don't know the meaning of no means no. Oh, I hope he sticks around. This is such a powerful enemy. Oh, my lifelong dream is to play volleyball in the gym at this school. No, this is a bad panel. Don't. Even if he isn't Skull, part of having a bodyguard is, not just being protected from slimy, actual people who are going to hurt you, but also just, people you don't want to interact with. Especially if he's in the school. This is the most, Shugomaru needs to protect the whole school now. Oh, no. Oh, this is a real cursed one. How has he not been arrested? There is no way this can possibly be allowed. Shugomaru, psst, take him out. Just do it. It only took one. Presumably this is a full day, but still. It only took one page for her to immediately go no, you know what? Never mind, kill him. This mission is going well. All for Captain Skull's sake. Band of killers led by none other than Captain Skull. Oh, I'm guessing this has to be some sort of weird, I don't know, specifically the Cap'n thing. It makes me think of Captain Crunch. Is it possible that he's doing this not because the assassin sent him, but for something else that is coincidentally also called Skull? Like a dating show or something? I'm sorry, who? How? How did this happen? Are these clones? Are they just fans? Okay, so I guess they are fans, but still. I'm about to do justice to the sneaky servant kanji in my name. It's a fresh pack of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. They didn't even draw a thing on it, but they still called them Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Oh no, Shugomaru! Oh no! He loves dragons and Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Oh no, his brain has gone back to child's. Oh, the only way I think these two panels could intersect is if it destroys the entire, volleyball courts. Oh yeah, here we are. Here we are. Slash Takizawa. Now, this is one hell of a pull. Boy, oh boy, I do not understand this one. What can I say? I love the guy's jokes. My dream is to set him up with a bodacious babe. I do it all for his sake. Truly unbelievable. Oh, honestly not bad. Oh, in terms of placement, this one is actually pretty tricky. It was pretty decent. I can't lie about that. But it's not it's not Roboco tier, but it's honestly kind of getting there. Like the main problem I think is just that from a taste perspective, apologies. Uh, I really like Roboco's incessant, unbelievable positivity. Just as a filler thing, not even necessarily as a joke, but just as a thing that the series can always default to. It just works really well for me. Whereas Shugomaru's I'm going to punch the main character is, I mean, it's better than if it was a tsundere situation. That I'm fully burnt out on. But it's not that interesting. The big property destruction is very funny. But yeah, I'm not sure how if it has legs really. I gotta slide it below Elusive Samurai. If I keep on reading it, I think I'll give it a little more in the pre-recordeds once I get back into doing live streams. Yeah, Doron Dororon, I mean, that's still got one more chapter before it's at chapter 3, so we'll see how that goes. Ayashimon, I'm still undecided on, but Ayashimon's probably going to go into pre-recorded as well. It really depends on, well, we'll see how this chapter goes. But also, if you have any opinions, let me know. For the most part, for the other series as well, Shoten, it's a comedy series. I don't know if there's a lot to talk about in chat or a lot to see in the exact moment that I'm looking at it. So that's probably going to go into pre-recorded. Same with Choujin X. I think basically all this stuff is right now. Not bad necessarily, but I don't know if it's the kind of thing where I would want the One Piece-esque talking to you guys and bouncing off of people and talking about predictions and whatnot. It's not quite there. Okay, so that is Shugomaru. Let us move on to Ayashimon, Chapter 4. And Ayashimon's physical form is generally made from money. Okay, oh, that's so cool. This is something I've genuinely wanted for a decade at this point. Specifically, sorry, this is going to be a mild tangent, but of course, back in 2011, I believe, or was it 2010? I think it was I think it might have been 2010. On 4chan, on the M board, this was around when Kamen Rider Double was coming out. There was a provisional concept that people came up with. This was not a rumor or anything. It was just something people thought was funny. It was the concept for a rider called Kamen Rider Yen. And the main concept of this rider would just be that he was a homeless guy who, had a belt that only activated via putting money into it. The idea being that, this is someone who, this is technology made presumably for, rich people in order to, gain supernatural powers in order to dominate over the weak. But this is a person who has, really no income or anything. He's just, getting money from people that he saves. Or, he, flies through a cash box and the money falls out of it, and then he, borrows some of it and puts it into the driver, and then everyone hates him for it. But I was so taken with that concept. And the year after Kamen Rider Double, we got Kamen Rider O's, which is the closest we've gotten to a series that is kind of like that. At the time, the joke was, is Toei reading this? Is Toei, ripping off our idea? But it's not that close. It's just a series that is about desire and greed and, wealth in a sense. And the monsters do have this, concept of being made out of, essentially metals, which are like coins, but, from a, they're not actual money. And so when you smash them, they burst out into these giant coins that the main character can use to, power his, certain weapons. And there are certain ones they can use to, change forms and whatnot. It is fundamentally very different from just, these are monsters made out of money, and this is a hero who uses money in order to, gain powers. But ever since then, I've always decided, yeah, there's really no way this is going to become a real series ever. And once we got O's, most fan communities gave up on the Kamen Rider Yen idea, just because it felt very derivative of O's after that point. But, so that is the reason why this specific concept really gets to me and why I think this is actually a really cool concept. And so it does mean that you can have, an Ayashimon that is made out of pure charity or, pure wanting to give to the poor. But then you can also have them, an Ayashimon that are created from, evil desires or greedy desires or, malicious desires involving money. That is so good for, the idea of these Ayashimon, running this, underground criminal network and, Yeah, it's so perfect. And it'll be 99 years before we manifest a new one, but like the spirit still remains. So it's very possible like she could die in the series and she could still linger around as a spirit. Like, I imagine if she were to die, we would do something where, like, oh, there's a secret way that you can, like, make an Ayashimon a new body really fast. Or imagine we're going to have villains that want that. Like, this head of the household. Oh, I didn't even think about the fact that, yeah, her head of the household, like, the head of her household was, died. And therefore, that does mean that his spirit is still around. And presumably they could, like, try to resurrect him. Or he could resurrect in, like, 99 years. Ah. God, this is already such a cool concept. I'm so sold. Bold to run a series in Jump where the main character has an axe pattern shirt. This feels very foreboding. Chapter 4. I'm so scared I can't help but run. Okay. I mean, I assume this is not his office, right? Like, he also has to be, like, super low on the totem pole. I assume they're just gonna go to this office and take it over. Oh, that's such a cool idea. Because, yeah, that also, like, is very indicative of, like, the situation in Japan right now in terms of, like, people in the boonies and the outskirts who, want to move to the big city in order to make it, / because they know they can't support themselves out in the boonies. Or, like, their parents can run the farm. Or, like, someone else in their family can run the farm. But even the farm isn't making a lot of money. And so it would be a lot better if you just, like, got an office job. Yeah, they're just gonna take this place over. I'm surprised they have such a specific aesthetic. Like, I assumed this was just, a thing he was wearing. But it is actually kind of cool that they have, like, an office attire. Here we go. Bow before the greatness of Boss. Here we go. Ritual duel time. Time to bet. I guess the other question is, like, how do the bets work in a ritual duel? Because, like, presumably what she is hoping is that they underestimate her and they're like, yeah, sure, whatever, we'll give you the office. Obviously, we're not gonna, like, we don't have to. But then when he wins, it'll be official. But, like, what is stopping you from just saying, I mean, I guess it is honor. It is the, like, you have to, like, have the stakes be high because otherwise, like, you'd be seen as cowardly or you'd be seen as weak. You'd be seen as if, like, oh, of course you didn't want to give up anything to these weaklings. And okay, so she's betting herself. That's also a good way to do this. Like, it shows how much faith she has in him. All right, set up the ring. And okay, I was curious about the mask thing from before. So it isn't that the mask, like, creates a different body. It is that it's just, like, revealing their true abilities. This also raises the danger of, like, what if they say, for instance, like, something like this, like, you have to sumo fight, and he doesn't know that, or he doesn't know what, sumo is, and so he just, like, throws a punch and loses. It is battle as worship, fight as festival. It is the ritual duel. Ooh, cool. All right, knock him out. Oh, he's so happy. And yeah, like, even if they are all, like, against him, it is still fundamentally more of a sporting match than just, like, punching someone on the streets. He managed to land a blow. I mean, I understand the symbolism of this, but I wonder if it is also, like, part of the ritual duel. Like, is there a level of, like, people cheering you on in addition to just, being something that's, like, emboldens you? Does it also, like, grant you extra power? Or does it, like, do something like that? Because I could see that being a possibility in the series. Though I imagine it, like, if that were a thing, they may have already said it. But then again, it would be very manga to withhold that until later. Like, just hoping that it is a fundamental, like, it's not really going to change anything. So, like, why bother? Like, one person cheering versus the whole crowd, it shouldn't do that much. But yeah, Ayashimon, I think, is definitely going into the pre-recorded as well. It's not bad necessarily, but, like, now that things have calmed down, how do I put it? It's kind of got a similar energy to Mashal in terms of why I'm about it. Like, I'm not against series where the main character is extremely powerful, and that is the thrust of it. It is less about, like, oh, can they win, and more about, like, how do they win. But, like, there's not a whole lot tomorrow that makes me really excited to see how the series works out. The world of the Ayashimon, though, is really interesting. Like, I am invested in it already. It's just that, like, I want to see more. I want more information. I want a bigger expo dump, honestly. But yeah, I'm not super duper fired up. Like, Shugomaru, I think, actually had higher highs than this chapter of Ayashimon. Still, I like everyone well enough, and I'm glad that we are starting so low. Like, it also gives me a lot of hope that the series is not going to be an immediate leap to the very top, and that we can spend some time, like, fleshing out the world and, like, working on the outskirts as they, like, slowly build up to something big. Which is always a danger in Current Jump. Like, the problem with Current Jump is also the big, like, if you can't hook someone, very early on, then your series is gonna flop, you're gonna get U19s. But I will always root for a series that can start small. Something like Naru, because like if you can take that time to build up the world and build up like why the series is interesting, I would much rather have that and to have a long path ahead of us that I want to walk on than to immediately leap up to the to the crazy, wacky, insanely cool stuff. Like the early chapters, I think, like chapters 1 and 2 had way more of that, like, this is so absurdly badass, and, this is the kind of thing that people would want to see animated immediately. Whereas, like, this feels like it's settling down a bit. Like, we're finally able to do more character stuff. Also, just, yeah, the physical forms being made out of money is something that I'm just so excited for. That's going to be something I'm going to be thinking about all day. So, with that, let us move on to Sakamoto Days, Chapter 50. So, last time they finally beat apart. And I see he's just kind of vibing here. And by vibing, I mean is unconscious. Or is like, re-attaining consciousness. What's with this warm table? So I assume they brought him to Granny in order to, like, fix his body, keep him from dying. I'm really curious to see what he would say here. Because, like, we understand his psychology. He can't trust them if he can't take them apart. So, like, what purpose, like, why would he say anything to them, apart from just fearing for his own life? They're trying to be friends with him, but, like, can he accept this, or is he too far gone? I'm hoping. It would be really cool if he, like, changed his ways, but even then, like his psychology is so warped at this point. Like, I don't think he could like join their side. Like, I don't think that he could fight alongside them. I feel like right now the thing that would make the most sense is if he spills the beans and then like goes and gets therapy. Like, if we just see him on the street as a normal person after this. But I wouldn't trust him to non-lethally fight people or to like work at Sakamoto's. That would be very funny, though. Like, that would fit the, like, you have a NEET who hasn't really done anything and then they're working at a convenience store. I could see that, but I don't think it's gonna happen. The guy I met was some kind of mecha human who looked like a deer. Okay. We transitioned to phase 2, just as planned. Okay, so they're gonna destroy the order base, so this was just a distraction. Interesting. Not gonna lie, I was a little tiny bit worried. I was a little worried that we were going to do these serial killers were all defeated, but we were just using them as bait in order to draw out the even stronger 4 serial killers. I'm so curious to see how Slur is going to pull this off, though. Because, like, we know that he is a fighter. Like, he has actually committed a bunch of serial killings. Like, he's killed tons and tons of assassins. But we haven't seen Slur in action, so, like, is this going to be more of a, like, we're going to send in people? Is it going to be a, like, we're going to blow up the base? Or is this just a Slur going in himself? I'm so curious. We are at chapter 50, and we are getting the big, like, the Japanese Association of Assassins, aka JAA. It's pretty wild that of 1,000 members, 400 of them are professional assassins. Because I assume that's also happening now, so, like, there must have been way more before Slur started killing. But even then, like, that's 600 members remaining that are not professional assassins. Like, are they just, the occasional assassin? Like, Sakamoto, I imagine, is, would not be counted as part of the 400 because he has retired. But then, like, is it all just, like, people in training / people who have retired? Or, I mean, part of it also has to be, like, people who do clerical work. But there's no way that, like, you have, like, 500 people doing clerical work for 500. I mean, maybe. Like, are the cleanup crews also considered? Because if the cleanup crews are, part of the JAA, but they're not professional assassins, that also makes sense. And to be fair, you would need more clerical workers for this than for, like, other organizations. Because I imagine, like, if, like, if Sakamoto was, just, like, if he was still active, I imagine there was at least one person, if not two, whose entire job is, we look at what Sakamoto is doing, and we send out the cleaners when they need to come out, and we fix the things that need to be fixed. But, like, yeah, a 1-to-1 ratio would be, like, it still stretches the mind, but I could see it. But I guess it actually does work. Like, if it's 1,000 members, 400 are assassins. If I assume 400 are just, like, specific handlers for those 400 assassins, that's 800. And then 200 would make up, like, the people who actually pay the taxes, the people who, like, go to courts, and, the cleanup crews. It's so cool seeing it as, like, a thing. Will you be requiring an assassination or an accident cleanup? Assassination, very good. So, okay, they're also, like, making the weapons, preparing public spaces. I mean, I knew that, but the weapons manufacturing I didn't think about. Today, an incident unprecedented in JA history will occur. Now, Mangaka-san, you can't show me this building and then say this is Japan, right? This is, what is this building called again? It's a very famous building in New York that I've seen, like, dozens of times. I like, specifically in the Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, they just slapped the words Daily Bugle onto the front in order to, like, make it the Daily Bugle. But what it actually is what is it? Like, the whole thing is, like, shaped like an iron that you would use to iron clothes, but it's not called the Iron Building. The Wedge Building, it doesn't matter. So not even an ex-JA member, but just someone who got licensed and then threw away the license because it didn't look good. Alright, when they take those photos, they never give enough warning, do they? Okay, so this is Slur. Who is this, though? Is this... There's no way this is, Deerface, right? God, they're so casual. And it is such an interesting, like, transition going from, like, seeing the day-to-day of the JAA and seeing how casual that is, to then this attack on the JA and how casual they are about all of this. Especially the fact that, like, Slur is not a fanatic or anything. The fact they're having such a quiet, clear conversation about all of this. And yeah, it does make sense that Slur was, a former JA member, considering that he seems to have, again, like, some sort of dynamic with Sakamoto. Quit talking like I'm the one who's nervous. But okay, they're just doing a full frontal assault. They're just going for it. It is pretty wild that there's one guard protecting the entire JAA. But at the same time, like, this is unprecedented. This is the most, like, who would ever do this? Plus, I imagine, like, if there's a receptionist, the receptionist is also an assassin. Like, I imagine everyone working in the building is an assassin. Or, like, if not a registered active assassin, someone who took assassin training and then failed and then still got a job here, so... I imagine it's a real, like, yeah, you would have to be insane or unbelievably strong in order to even think about doing this. Yeah, I really love the aesthetic of this chapter. Because also, we did sandwich it with, like, here is a situation in which, like, there is an insane serial killer that they are, giving the Sakamoto, like, effect to. They are straight up going, like, we want your information, we're not going to kill you, that's not what we do. And then we end it with, like, Slur himself going into the building to go kill the entire JAA. Like, this isn't the headquarters, but it's still, like, the JAA building. It's still gonna be one hell of an assault. And yeah, I really like it. It's the, it's the quiet before the storm. In terms of where it goes, I'm not quite sure. I think above Ayashimon, below Shugomaru. Like, it was good as a chapter, but, like, Ayashimon was also good, and they're very similar in that respect, in that, like, I'm interested in the world, I'm interested in what's going to happen, I'm interested in, like, the general build-up, and none of it's bad, but none of it also, like, stood up to the other chapters. So yeah, we'll leave it there. Honestly, it's been pretty chill thus far for Shonen Jump. So, with that, let us move on to... Undead Unluck, Chapter 90. You negating lugs. The little Shen ghost here is so good. It is honestly really cool to to, like, so quickly after we had the arc with Tessai to then get her, like, look in color. Like, none of the others are, I'm not super excited for any of these, because we've seen them all before, more or less. Actually, I don't think we actually got her in color before. And it is actually cool to see, like, we have now had multiple images of, like, the rot going through Billy's body, like, as it progresses more and more and more. But yeah, just generally a really good color page. So, where we last left off. It's so wild that, yeah, this chapter is named after something that came up in the previous chapter. But it still makes sense in like, this is a call to action for all of these people. I mean, this seems like it's going to be pretty straightforward, honestly. You're here, Ishin. I'll just share a robe with Ishin then. Oh no! Toph, that's way too intimate. And also, Ishin is just so big. Like, this robe is barely fitting her as is. There's no way there's room for someone else. Actually, how does Tatiana's technology work here? Because, like, I'm thinking specifically of this situation in which, like, she's being held, and then the robe is on her, even though she's still being held. Like, how did this happen? I'm coming in, Ishin. But okay, cool. So, it's not that they necessarily don't have to worry about the petals anymore. Like, if you still get shot with them, I don't know if the robe's going to be able to repel all of them. But at the very least, we don't have to worry about the accidental, like, oh, now a stray petal just, hit me and now I'm turning into a tree. What else could you possibly need to know about the situation? It's just wicked sick. And yeah, I really appreciate it. This is not, like, this is how we've seen, Andy and Fuko fight this whole time, like, for all 90 chapters of the series. But, like, no one from Under has been doing this. And so this is a real mind-bendy thing. I really appreciate whenever a series does that. Like, I get why, when you're, 1,000 chapters into One Piece, why you don't, why you kind of tone down the whole, like, hey, shouldn't people be reacting really weirdly to Luffy because he's made out of rubber and he's doing weird things? Or, like, Luffy's, super famous and popular, but, like, someone like Chopper, for instance, it's always bugged me that, like, when Chopper does stuff, we don't constantly have people going, what is happening? This doesn't make any sense. But at the same time, I get it also just because, most of the crews in the Grand Line do super wacky things. And so there's a point where you have to just go like, I don't care anymore. I don't care what this power is. I'm just going to kill this person. But I still have a very strong weakness to seeing characters just react like this. Like, just doing the big, this is so weird. Oh, I didn't even notice the bunny doesn't get to see this. This is real not safe for Bun. Honestly, there are a lot of panels where I would love to see someone, redraw it without the censor bar, but this is a big one just because of the squat pose. This is the most, like it's the squat pose and the reaction to it. I think it would be 10 times funnier without the bar. There is one other way to beat spring. That does raise a good point. Like, yeah, killing Fuko is a possibility. So, like, it's not that Under has to agree. It's that they have to choose to believe in Fuko instead of just killing her here. I mean, to be fair, Andy's not wrong. Like, fundamentally, all he said was, attack me, and then, the backlash can hurt Spring. That doesn't mean that they, like, even if they are intentionally trying to kill Fuko, if it turns out they are attacking Andy, and then Andy can figure out how to make that attack then hit, Spring, like, fundamentally, it works the same way, regardless of whether they intend to be hurting Spring or not. Such a good power move. Don't hold back. Gather all your discontent for the Union and take it out on me. Rip truly was not prepared for this. God, I love this so much. Like, this might be peak Undead Unluck. Like, this is the ultimate, like, no matter what your intention is, Andy will negate it and turn it into something that, helps him and stops Fuko from having to die here. I'm actually very surprised that, like, growing up didn't, like, give him a proportional increase in strength. Oh no, the speech pattern! God has finally given up on it. I mean, is there a difference really between God going like, playtime's over, let's not talk about this, let's not do the speech pattern, and the mangaka going, I don't want to do this anymore? Oh yeah, Fuko hasn't seen this move yet. How very deeply upsetting. I was talking before about how, like, I'm so curious, like, how do I put this? how I feel like I've noticed this shift in like Shonen Jump new series from like we're going to do action that is just really good in manga but might be kind of in animation to like we're going to specifically focus on making the action more like conducive towards animation. It's the kind of stuff you would really want to see in animation, and Undead Unluck has so much of that. But it also goes beyond by having stuff like almost anything Andy does, where you look at it and you think, I don't know if this can be, like, not that it can be animated, but like, I don't know if people want to see him peel his entire back off, or like his like peeled blood clone technique, where he's so covered with blood that all you can do is stop the blood. Ah. Like, it goes so hard on stuff I desperately want to see animated that it comes all the way through, comes out the other end of like, I don't know if anyone else would want to see this, but I do want to see it still. It's just so gruesome and wacky and wild that I can't imagine it ever like being animated and not being like censored to heck. Oh. And this is, of course, even more like going against Rip's desires, in that like if he wants to do it, if he wants to attack Andy, then he's only going to help attack Spring, and if he doesn't want to attack Andy, then Unjust can be used in order to make him attack Andy, which can then be used to deflect and hit Spring. This is the ultimate lose-lose for him. Ah. I love it. This is the feeling of seeing someone cheese a video game. The more upsetting it is, the funnier it is. Also, oh no, Fuko. Oh, this is getting dangerous. Oh, here we go. Oh, they're gonna battering ram it. Here we go. Unbreakable. Takio shot. Oh, and it did crack it. That was powerful enough. So cool. Also, just seeing Ishin like, wrapped around Toph is it's so powerful. This has to be a ship, right? This has such unbelievably powerful ship energy. Undead Unluck just continues to be like the best thing in Jump. Holy moly. Like, this chapter was just so much fun. Oh, be right back. All right, back. Maybe for a little bit at least. I should wrap this up by saying that I think we'll get at least the entire next chapter is going to be them still fighting and still like breaking into the core. Like, I think the last few pages might be like they finally open up a hole and Fuko can like jump into the core, but we'll leave it off at Fuko getting to the core. We've already gotten, some of the fights, but I think that, like, with all these characters around, I don't think we'll get any really big, like, interesting combo moves. Like, maybe combos in the sense that, like, members of, Under are going to attack Andy. Like, any attack they perform is technically a combo. But in terms of, like, something like Tatiana and Top, Ishin and Top, like, I doubt we're going to get any of that between Under and Union members. But I do think that, like, we can fill out the first half of next chapter with, like, seeing some attacks that we haven't seen before from the members of Under. Because they also have some calculus to do of, like, they now understand, like, even if they want to try and attack Fuko, fundamentally they're still attacking Andy, which is still going to, like, contribute to the fight. So it doesn't really matter what their intent is. The question is just, like, do you opt out or not? Like, the only way to not help them is to just stand around. Whereas, like, it's such a good dynamic. I love it so much. Anyways, that is Undead Unluck. Seriously, I can't get over how perfect this chapter was. It is iconic. Yeah, I did not actually rank it, so let me rank it right now, right at the top. Next, we have One Piece, Chapter 1034, Sanji versus Queen. So here we go, gonna finally wrap this up. It sounds like usually the versus chapters are big, like, and now we're going to get, like, a definitive, like, moment in the fights. Usually the ends. But yeah, like, I'm I'm liking Queen a lot. Like, I was rereading part of it because I was like, oh yeah, Chopper is like my favorite Straw Hat, and Queen did have a whole boss fight with him before, so I went back over that. Still so good. And like, I really appreciate how, that was so doctor focused, this is so tech focused, but like, they're all facets of the same character. It doesn't feel like he's shifting from now I fight Chopper mode to now I fight Sanji mode, even though that is kind of what he did. It's just, it's so satisfying. If there's any way to escape, any way off this island, now is the time to make use of it. Oh, very wise. I see these girls know how to wise post. And okay, so last chapter. Thank you very much, by the way, Gamu, for pointing out that, like, you could visually see, him, like, chomping at the clouds. And so this makes sense. Well, he says, "I've grasped the knack of Kaido's flame clouds," which I assume, like, yeah, because he's grabbing them, I assume it is less that, he's learned how to make them, and more just like he has gone from I'm making these tiny little puffs and putting them in one area to I'm just going to rearrange, these in order to try and like slow down this thing. I'm really curious to see how people are going to react to seeing him do this, because he is like a different color than Kaido, but, Kaido is a giant dragon man. Like, even if you think the color is a bit different, you would look at this and go like, oh, Kaido is dragging Onigashima to us, and now he's ripping away the clouds to drop the island on us. Like, I don't know if anyone down there is strong enough to fight or anything, but I can definitely see them all getting the wrong idea of what exactly Momonosuke is trying to do. The counterpoint being, of course, like, if they see this dragon trying to save them, they're like, is that Kaido? Is Kaido trying to save us? What the heck? And then he changes back and we see that, oh, it's Momonosuke, and now he looks like Odin. That could be really, really cool. But yeah, I'm not totally sure what his plan is here. Like, I understand what he's saying, but like, in terms of how this is going to stop the fall, the only thing I could think of is that, like, before Onigashima gets there, he might just be like grabbing the clouds and putting them up here so that this part can fall down. But then this part, I believe, is where all the bombs are. So it's a bit mixed. Still genuinely do not know how they're going to deal with that. Okay, that's a new move. Beams from his eyes. Oh, sparking Valkyrie. Okay. Those are his eye beams. This is a lightning kick, which was Niji's thing, I believe? Or was that fire? No, Ichiji was fire. Niji was, oh, that's so cool. Like, in a sense, Sanji is fighting Germa, in the sense that, he is fighting the evil science of Germa. See, Judge's sons are like the amalgamation of all his scientific tech. If I'd beaten you to a pulp while you wore that suit, I could have proven something to Judge. That I am the superior scientist. Oh, got very minor Doc Ock vibes from that line. Oh, here comes Winch Queen. Oh, this is honestly selling me even more on Queen. I mean, he's a despicable being, of course, but like, as a villain, he might be my favorite villain already. Like, there's just so much to what Queen can do, plus there's, like, how goofy he is, there's the cowardice, there's the being funky. It's the whole package of Queen is unbelievable. There's so much going on with him. I warned you not to say their names around me. Oh, so there's no such thing as freedom of speech anymore? This is a perfect panel. Oh man, I'm gonna get so much use out of this one. Queen is the kind of guy who I imagine would say this. Like, specifically, the fact that he is saying it, in a context where it doesn't, like, not that it doesn't make any sense, but, like, this is not what freedom of speech is. But that is how anyone who says this is meaning it as. It is never, the government is clearly oppressing my freedom of speech. It is always, in this argument, oh, my freedom of speech is being restricted because you're arguing against me. Oh. Okay, so he even has the invisibility. What? He disappeared too? That is cool, though. Like, that is such a fundamental, like, I don't need my parents' tech in order to be invisible. I can just not be here. Oh, that's so cool. Okay, this is the girl. Okay, so this is what we're doing. Oh, what did I gain? An exoskeleton, muscle, and speed, all of which increase strength. And color and armaments. Oh, man. So he is upgraded from Diabla Jamba. I can never pronounce it. To Ifrit Jamba. Is that an upgrade in terms of name? Because Diablo would be, the fires of hell, whereas Ifrit is a. I'm gonna be honest. I've not read the Quran. I don't remember what an Ifrit actually is. I just remember it from JRPGs. I will take Sanji's word for this one. Oh, okay. I thought this was just a weird tangent slash a way to bait out Sanji by Queen then going, oh, I'm gonna just beat a woman in the middle of this fight. But okay. So this is, you know what? This makes me like this arc so much more. Like, how do I put this? The one thing I was upset about, I'm glad that, Sanji rejected using the raid suit and that he destroyed and that, but I really did not like the writing, the idea that the reason why he rejected it was because, the suit made him enter woman beating mode, and then he just saw a lady and beat her. That felt like the most, not contrived, but just the most, this is not something that was a part of this in any way. Even Ichiji and Niji are not, out there just randomly slapping women for no reason. They're randomly slapping women because they're bad people. But that is functionally different from, Sanji being in a fight and then taking the time to walk over and beat a woman for no reason. But this completely, this makes so much more sense. Because I fully buy, with everything Anissa said about Queen, I fully buy the Queen is the kind of person who would, in the middle of the fight, stop, turn invisible, and just slap a woman because, she said she had a headache and needed time off. This doesn't look that visually different from normal Diablo Jambla, though. The shape of the fire might be a bit different, but, that's something I haven't really been focusing on whenever Sanji fights. So I can't actually say that I know what the difference is. I'm sure there is one. Also, it's been a hot minute since we've had a really cathartic Sanji beating the crap out of an awful person. Sanji has beaten the crap out of an awful person that can also turn invisible twice in the series. It is funny that it's happened twice. I don't remember. Fuck, I fucked up the meme format. But I mean, to be fair, this is actually functionally, this is the same concept of him accepting that he cannot, in fact, turn invisible, but this other person can turn invisible because of this thing that he wanted in the past. Before it was Absalom eating the invisibility devil fruits, and then him going, God damn it, I could have eaten that. And this time around, it is, it is not even just the same technology, but literally Queen saying, I'm using the power of Stealth Black. And then Sanji going, I did destroy Stealth Black, but also, God damn it, this means I can't peep in the showers anymore. He does, of course, still have the ability to go real fast, but I guess the problem there is that, where are you going to find a ladies' bath that is so incredibly large that you can peep on it while also running faster than, faster than human sight? I mean, I guess you could just run in a circle. But at that point, I feel like you're spending way too much energy on running really fast to then appreciate the naked women. But then again, I don't know. I do not have the heterosexuality that Sanji has. I'm sure Sanji might be able to appreciate naked women while also running super fast. We'll see. I'm assuming that when we get to the end of Wano, once, Kaido's been beaten and things are back to normal and, they throw a big party for the Straw Hats, at that point, I think we're gonna have Sanji. I mean, first of all, right? Sanji did tell Zoro straight up, "Hey, if I'm not acting like myself at the end of this, kill me." So I think first we're gonna have Zoro look at him and then try and kill him and go "Yeah, you seemed too cool, you shitty chef, so I have to kill you." And then after that, we will get Sanji lamenting that he cannot, in fact, peep on women. God damn. I started this chapter by just saying, because I reread a bunch of stuff involving Queen, I love Queen so much. This whole arc, I've also just been saying that I really love him on the stage. He was already one of my favorite One Piece characters. But, specifically this stuff, doing, copying all the German moves as well is just so cool. He's so cool. He's so funky. If Kaido is like defeated at the end of this, and by defeated I mean he's got to be killed. Like if any of the emperors lose, like if any of the emperors are like dethroned, they have to be killed and not just like beaten and thrown away. Like you can't Shishibukai them. Otherwise, like, they're still around. They're still a big threat. They could still just come back and say, "Hey, give me back my territory. It's me, Big Mom." But like, if Kaido were to die, I would love to see a cover story that is like maybe just Jack King and Queen bumming around and trying to like make money and like helping some children or something. I saw some fan art recently. It was it's the one with Kaido driving a car, and then King, Queen, and Jack are all stuffed in it, and then like tiny little baby Yamato is like squished between King and Queen, or it might be like a King and Jack, and he's just looking super scared. It just really makes me want more slice of life stuff with these three specifically. Or honestly, I just want it between King, Queen, and Kaido. I don't really care about Jack, but at the same time, I feel like the situation we have put Jack in that he is really, really impressive in theory, but he hasn't really done anything that impressive. I think just like it makes me want to see him even more. I think it would really lend him to a really funny, self-deprecating cover story. Also, very glad, like, apart from the very, very starts, like, this is, completely fine. But, like, apart from that, this was all Sanji. I was really worried we were going to cut again to Zoro. Which, like, I'm excited to see more Zoro stuff, but, like, I'm really glad this was all wrapped up in this chapter. We might have, like, we got the impact here. But I think next chapter is going to be the very clear, like, Queen is down. He took so much internal damage. He took this hit. I wonder if this is... Do you think this is part of the Ifrit's Jamba? Like the like electricity bouncing off him? Or do you think that's Queen's like electronic components like exploding as he's being like kicked backwards? Because none of the other shots actually this kinda has a little of that. Like that's more of just a long lick of flame. But yeah, like everything else looks more clearly like, this is just flame. Whereas this is the only one where like you have these big tendrils and like multiple of them. Because yeah, that's the only thing I can think of that makes this clearly look different than Diablo. Or Diablo. Anyways, that is One Piece. Fantastic chapter. I didn't even talk about the Usopp thing because I was so excited to get to Sanji versus Queen. I already said it, but God, I'm so happy that Sanji's modifications don't make him go into I'm going to beat women mode. Like this really addressed everything I was, even the lightest bit worried about, and completely like resolved it in a way that made Sanji cool again. But yeah, I completely skimmed by this because I wasn't even thinking. This is cute. I don't have anything else to say about it. It's cute. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, this feels a little messy, in the sense that you have like Usopp's just chilling. He managed to hit it, from behind without even looking in order to, like get them a year's worth of juice. But we're also mixing it with the like little kid going, they hit my, sibling or friend or whatever, and then the sibling / friend whatever hit there, and then one of them's pissed off, one of them is like bugging their eyes out of this. Like it feels like it's simultaneously trying to be before and after he shots. Which I guess might make sense, if he just shot. Like, it was fast enough that, like, this kid doesn't have time to react. This guy doesn't have really time to react. I mean, this guy's, like, ringing the bell. But, yeah, I'm just nitpicking. This is a fantastic chapter. 10 out of 10. Does this go right to the top? I'm not totally sure. Sorry about that. Okay. Let us finish this up. Oh boy, I actually got 3 more series to do, but that's fine. Let's move on to Dr. Stone, chapter 221. So last chapter, Ryusui was honestly kind of humble in well, how do I put this? I was really impressed by the fact that he looked at the situation, he was like, no, I'm not the best pilot, it's Stanley. I mean, of course, this also adds the extra layer of he can be, on the ground, he won't be in danger. So there are other benefits, but like I still completely acknowledge that this is a show of, deep respect and also like relatively deep humility from someone like him. Okay, what is this riddle? So say you're a knight. As a young and dashing knight, you pine for the princess of the palace. Okay. So, who do you choose? Do you go for love, or do you bring peace and harmony to all the land by allowing the person you love to date someone else? What's your move as a science pro? I mean, you're at chapter 221 of Dr. Stone. You, the reader, the listener, the viewer, you understand that this is Dr. Cuck. There is no possible answer that can be given that is not, you need to let yourself be cucked. We're still finding new and vibrant ways for young, or not young boys, but like teenage boys to get themselves cucked. And I'm saying this knowing also that, of course, many years have passed, and so they're all probably adults at this point. A science pro is a man of efficiency, so if the other dude is 10 billion% a better fit for the job than me, then of course I'm handing over the reins. Don't mind me, I just gotta post this. I gotta do it right now. I don't say stuff like this very often, but thank you, by the way, for being the type of audience that will sit there as I write out drcuck.png and post it on my server, which is something that is not funny to you, the viewer. It is only funny to me. I don't think anyone's going to react to this. This is just for me. I honestly have the best fan base in the world. Oh boy, it's time to get his boyfriend back. Playing it cool to the max. We can never see what his face was like here. I want to believe that, the eyes are, of course, as seen here, but I want to believe that his mouth was full of Hago. If we join forces, we might try to take over the world again. I mean, what is the Kingdom of Science if not a ton of people who could definitely destroy the world, who we have to allow to be around in order to resurrect the world? Senku included. And that also is a fair point. Like, enough of the world is back up and running now that you can't, like, create a full empire. Like, they could run off and try to do something, but they'd be so outnumbered by, all the other countries at this point. And the fact that there is a status quo there already. Like, of course he could, like, start an empire, but I mean, he can always do that. Like, even in this world, you can try. It's just, very difficult. Oh, and they're finally hitting him with the big, like, Zeno, stop trying to be the villain. You don't have to be the villain. You don't have to be absolutely despised constantly. Whether you like it or not, you're a citizen of the Kingdom of Science, not a kingdom of the citizen of science. And okay, so they do have a, like, Tsukasa can kill Zeno at any point. And of course, because Zeno is an adult, we know for a fact he will not hesitate to slash Zeno's head off. He might grab a gun and start shooting the second he wakes up. I mean, we might get another crack, what's the situation? At which point Zeno could say, here's a gun, kill everyone. But I highly, highly doubt that. It's been a while since we've had some absolute, pure, gut-wrenching, horrible cowardice from... Actually, what am I saying? We got that like 2 chapters ago. Ginro's cowardice is eternal. As if we've ever had a break from it. And of course, we've got to give the big emotional moment to everyone's favorite character, Chelsea. I mean, he'll get his chance. But yeah, he's really got to suck it down here. Perhaps being rich does not mean that you should get to go to space. Maybe you should allow other people to go to space first. I mean, this is the Kingdom of Science. There's no way that's, like, when they get to a point where they can do it efficiently, there's no way that Senku isn't gonna, like, have regular spaceflight be a thing within their lifetimes. Like, they'll all have the chance at some point. I'm sure about it. And I really do like Ryusui so much more when he is more transparent with what he means when he says greed. Like, when his greed was clearly, him saying, I want to have friends, I want my, my cousin to be my friend, I want to just play with my cousin and hang out. Or this, where it is a clear, like, he is using his greed in order to try and cope with the fact that he should not go to the moon right now because someone else is a bit better. I can feel the energy just, like, flowing between the two of them. And it's honestly so very different from almost all the other unstonings, in that, like, instead of getting the stone, explosion, or just, like, the character being freaked out as, it's falling off, we do not see Stan's reaction at all. And we don't get to hear what Stan was told. Like, he went from, the blast happening and reacting to it, and, being in this life and death battle with Senku, to here. and it feels so mature. Like, it fits him so well. Whereas, like, Zeno feels completely at home with anyone else. Like, he is very mature, but he also has a, big chuny energy. He completely fits in with the kids. Whereas, Stan is the dark coffee of men. What's the job? God, this outfit is wild. Like, yeah, I didn't even really react to the big, like, like elbow pauldrons he's got here, or the big spikes. And I mean, I said it before, but like this isn't quite, cracking out the stone going, what's the situation? But it is a way more like dark coffee way of taking it. Or I should say like, coffee black. Like nothing else in it, just bitter, pure, straight. Maybe not straight. I don't know if Stan is straight. But yeah, it's so blunt and direct. God damn. Absolute cheat level gun abilities. Are you up to the task, Stan? Oh my god. There is no heterosexual explanation for this panel. I mean, my heart still simps for Ginro, but my mind definitely simps for Stan. Stanley Snyder is the ultimate man. Oh my god. I mean, even the shift in Zeno's demeanor here, like, this is such a hard shift from, Zeno, like, hanging out with Senku and, having a bit of that shonen upbeatness to immediately being with his partner again. God damn. Get you a man who will fly to the moon and shoot people for you. Aww. I'm really glad that we're also getting to see him, like, finally crack here. I mean, we saw the last chapter a bit, but this feels way more emotional. It is him just finally being able to just scream out loud, God damn it, I wanted this so bad. Oh, god damn. Wasn't me. Holy moly. God, this page is so good. I don't collect Dr. Stone in the volumes, but maybe I should. I mean, Boichi is insane, but there's so much in Dr. Stone that I want, like, prints of. Or, like, specifically prints, but without, like, the, like, compression lines here. Like, these are definitely not supposed to be there. Like, this is not the screen tone. At least I'm 99% sure that's not the screen tone. Yeah, because it's bleeding over here. These are compression lines. Senku Ishigami, Kohaku, Stanley Snyder. Those three have been selected. We're doing it. We're going to the moon. And honestly, like, like Ryusui bringing up the, like, as the backup, I better polish my skills. Like, even though that is, something he is saying, in order to try and cope, in order to try to deal with this. At the same time, he does bring up the possibility of there being a backup. Like, yeah, this is kind of a one and done shot with the, the big two-way rockets. But there is a tiny % chance, like, they could, like, make a smaller rockets. They could figure that out. And, like, should something happen to the first rockets, like, should Y-Man, as soon as they touch down, should Y-Man just, like, set off a blast that turns everything on the moon to stone just immediately, or, like, multiple blasts, and, at a range where they can't, like, shoot the Medusas or anything. Like, if he does it from the opposite side of the moon. If that were to happen, or if they were to, like, shoot them off in space or something, I could see an arc that is the, like, rescue arc, where they send them up in a one-person rocket in order to, like, find the main crew, break them out of stone, and, like, then do the original plan of turning themselves into stone on the one-way rocket in order to, like, stay up there until they can be rescued eventually. I don't think they would, because, like, the whole point of the second rocket thing, or, the return rockets, is, to say, like, we are willing to invest all this extra time and effort into doing this because we do not want to strand people on the moon. So I think a different series might do we're going to do a rescue mission thing, but I don't think Dr. Stone will do that. I talked myself into it, and I talked myself out of it. But holy moly. Such a good chapter. Like, Ryusui is a character that I've been kind of iffy on from the starts, and I've made a lot of jokes about how, like, about him, but I mean, the series has done such a good job of selling me on him. Like, he is genuinely he is, like, the antithesis of Chelsea. in that Chelsea's just sort of given these moments in order to make you like her. Like, it is just a fundamental character you are supposed to like will be in the situation, and so they'll slot her in there. Whereas, like, Reese, we had that happen a bit, like, early on. And, like, every once in a while he gets thrown in as just a, like, he is very important. And also, like, we want him to have a reaction to this, or we want him to say a thing about this. Like, sometimes he gets, like, flanderized down into guy who yells, like, oh, you should do this, I love money, greed is good. But he also does have a significant amount of depth, and especially in, like, the last, like, 30 chapters, they've really showed that off. And that makes me really happy. God damn. Or I'd say, yeah, last like 20 chapters. I was thinking about it as like, he did some cool stuff, pre Dr. Suika, but yeah, both his brother and this whole situation, like, that's all been in the last 20 chapters, which is insane for you to think about, actually. It feels like it took place way longer, but 20 chapters, to be fair, is a lot for Dr. Stone. Okay. Enough big scatterbrain thoughts. Thank you for stepping down, Senku. And goddamn, I'm so happy to have Stanley back. Like, this is the ultimate, like, also, they are a perfect trio in that, like, Senku's going to, nerd out about, the, science stuff, being on the moon, it's what he's always wanted, and, like, should Y-Man, like, present any information, or should they have to, like, improv some stuff, he's on top of that. Kohaku gets to have the big, like, oh my god, the Earth is a tiny blue marble, this is insane, everything here is, something I could not have possibly conceptualized, and then we can have Stanley be the stoic one, like, I imagine he's still probably going to look at the Earth and, like, have a bit of an emotional reaction. But for most of it, I imagine he's going to be stoic in a way that they could have done with Tsukasa, but I wouldn't have been as into it. Like, Tsukasa I'm kind of iffy on in general. Like, ever since, he stopped being an enemy, he's been okay, but, like, just okay to me. He hasn't had that much, like, extra potential packed into him. And this arc could have been okay for that, but I'm happy. I'm more happy to have Stanley in this position. God, okay. Now, where the heck do I rank this? Also, this is where I figure out whether I ranked One Piece. Oh no, I sure didn't. So last thing I did was Undead Unluck, thank goodness. I mean, this was a banger One Piece. Before I got interrupted, I did say it was going to be like number one, so let me just do that right now. It is... Now, Dr. Stone, I feel like, should be number two. Like, the Undead Unluck chapter was really, really darn good, but it wasn't this good. And I've been very, like, up and down with Dr. Stone, so when it's up, I should give it props. This was so damn good. Dr. Stone really is a series where, like, if I were to start collecting the volumes, I would definitely not get a complete set. I feel like it would be, like, a lot of the start, and then a lot of, like, individual volumes or, like, sets of volumes that I really, really enjoyed. Like, but I feel like my collection would jump from, like, Dr. Suika to here. There'd only be, like, one volume in between there, maybe, depending on how they space it out, but, yeah. This whole, like, candidate selection arc has been fantastic. Okay, so... next is the MHA poll predictions, which I do not have a tab for. This is just going right into My Hero, so how do I usually do this? I usually just have a thing here, so let me do that. I'm not super into the polls, to be fair, so we'll see. Like, I don't think this is going to be a long thing. I already said at the very start, it's like, oh, I mean, the difference is, like, what are, do I say what I think will definitely happen, or do I say what I want? Like, what I would want would be very easy. That's why I was so, like, throwing it off. Like, at this point, I'm very happy with Bakugo and Deku being number 1 and number 2. Then after that, probably Shigi. I mean, Mariko's got to be up here, right? Like, I don't think I would put Mariko up here, but there's no way that, like, she's not in the top 10 in Japan. Like, there's a possibility, like, of the female characters, like, there's a possible that they would, put Toga over her, which would be respectable. Like, she's had way more time. I love Mariko's design, I love her attitude, but I could definitely see, why you would choose someone like her instead. Like, I don't think I would put her in the top 5, to be fair. So, Bakugo, Deku, Shigaraki. After that would be... I mean, I think Japan will choose Todoroki, but I don't really care for Todoroki. And yeah, I think I'll make this just my top 5. Like, because I'm inherently going to be comparing it to the actual thing. So Bakugo, Deku, Shigaraki. I mean, even now, Deku might be number one. Like, the whole, like, Deku going off on his own thing. Yeah, I will personally put Deku above Bakugo. I know it will not be true, but I want it to be true. So, saying that these are purely my opinions, I kind of want Mirko on here. I'll keep on going, and then, like, if someone bumps her off, then I'll just leave it as that. But, I mean, she is really, really cool. I can't deny that. I mean, we could also have Dabi up here. Like, Dabi is pretty damn good. Also, I guess I'll just, like, in case there's a thing, like, in case there's any more specificity, like, the series calls him Shigaraki, even though, like, fundamentally that name does not apply to that being right now. But I will say Shigaraki body to, like, encapsulate that. I mean both Shigaraki, the person that we've been following this whole time, and also, like, what Shigi's been doing, here as this amalgamation that is mostly being controlled by All For One, or, like, the vestige of All For One. Am I just buying time? I think I might just be buying time with this one, because I can't fully articulate who else I would put in my top 5, which is wild. I feel like I've been talking a lot about other characters. Maybe Lady Nagant, I think. I like her, but I don't think she would make, like, top 10. I mean, I don't think she'd be, like, top 20, honestly. She's cool, but that's it. Same with Star and Stripe. Like, I mean, she can't be on the poll because, like, she was introduced so recently. There's no way. But, like, Star and Stripe, I think, like, I didn't even consider her. But, yeah, I would definitely put her above Mirko in terms of, like, characters who have been really, really cool. So, let me do that, actually. I've now put on 2 characters that I know for a fact will not be in the top 5. I mean, I don't know how interesting it would be for me to, like, mutter on and go, like, oh, who else am I thinking of? I'm just gonna leave it at this. This is a truly insane top 5, but I'm curious to see how this is gonna play out. Like, I'm looking specifically for, Deku, Bakugo, Shigaraki, and Mirko's placements. So, next we've got My Hero Academia, chapter 336. Now this is a very nice image, but I don't know if there's going to be a popularity poll. Let me just look off to the... Okay, no. But yeah, I assume these are probably the top 10, right? Wait, who? Yeah, I'm guessing this is the top 10. Oh, this is the, Oh, I don't know if they have a gender, but this is definitely the person from the movie. Like, we had that cover of Jump with them and Deku on it. So maybe this is actually movie promotion, because I cannot imagine that a movie-only character made the top 10. Like, a movie-only character from a movie that, came out, like, a month or 2 ago. Like, there's no way. Oh, God, I mean, there's some good animals. If the movie has animals, I'd be very much into it. I mean, this might just be Horikoshi going, like, oh, I want to draw Snap. Look at this, Snap is so mad. I didn't catch I didn't catch its, like, smug smile here. It's so cute. Aizawa was just, like, a giant cat, though, is also very strong, which also makes sense. Like, okay, cats, Aizawa very sleepy a lot of the time. I mean, very sleepy. Also, he's got that killer instinct that cats have. He hates you until he loves you. I totally buy it. Wolf and Bakugo, again, very simple. Got it. Easy peasy peasy. I assume this bird is also, like, all the others are drawn in a, slightly different style, as opposed to, like, the manga's usual style. It's very much like, I am referencing an image of an animal in order to do this, while still, like, making it vibe with the series. But this is just straight up, like, this is just a cartoon. Like, this is 100% MHA style, so I assume this is, like, a bird that they actually have. Then Todoroki and Snow Leopard, again, more playful, more mature. God, I love Snow Leopard so much. Such a cute little snap. But it also, like, yeah, definitely embodies, like, Todoroki's, like, hot and cold energy. Now, Deku and a Ram, I don't fully buy into. Not totally sure how to put that one. Like, somewhat aggressive, capacity for, attacking, but will, more or less want to be left on his own. Something like that. Hawks and a Hawk, easy peasy. Kaminari and a Tortoise, tough, strong, kind of slow. Again, there's no way Ida is in the top 10 in the rankings, so this cannot be the rankings. Like, for everyone else, I can buy it. But yeah, eating a horse, obviously a racehorse, moving real fast. I gotcha. Then obviously Parrot and President Mike, easy. And then Cat and Shinzo. There's so much cat on this one. Honestly, I thought Shinzo was the parrot at first for a second, because I didn't catch the cats. Oh, this is a good color page. There is an ample amount of solid cat representation. Also, these boys are all great. What is this scenario? Like, this has to just be a photo shoot. Like, if this were a thing actually happening in universe, like, this would just have to be a photo shoot. Like, a lot of the time, like, Horikoshi will do a, like, this is, a fantasy AU, or this is, like, a, like, a steampunk AU situation. This is so much, like, it's harder to pin down as, like, it is X thing. If you guys, like, if there is a obvious thing this fits into, do let me know. Because I do like this aesthetic a lot. Like, having partner animals, being in the hard colds, and then, like, whatever the design sense is for, like, all the red and black they're wearing. It does look really, really nice. Anyways, I will read the chapter just in case, we get, like, a thing at the end or something. I might check the blog page, actually, to see if that has it, and then I know for a fact Homie posted, the top 10, or, like, just the popularity thing on the server. I just want to make sure I'm not, like, jumping the gun on that. Actually, what am I saying? I may as well. Like, I checked the next page just to make sure it wasn't an obvious, like, here's the rankings thing, so even if it is somewhere else, I'm assuming the one that he posted is more, like, comprehensive. Oh yeah, if you like My Hero Academia, and you are interested in Deadpool, I would recommend reading Deadpool Samurai for no particular reason. Where did he post this? Oh, it's probably Jump. Thank you, by the way, homie. Very much appreciate it. Ooh, what is this aesthetic? This is a clean aesthetic. This is so not Horikoshi's normal style. Like, it's not his style. Like, I can buy that he drew these, but, like, yeah, the way the hair is done for all of them, or, like, not Deku, but for Bakugo and Todoroki, it's so different. But okay, so it is as expected. Bakugo number 1, Deku number 2. Fair enough. Todoroki number 3. Okay, oh boy. Okay, here we go. So Kaminari number 4. Ox number 5. So Ida number 6. I cannot believe Ida's number 6. I can't believe 4,404 people liked Ida this much. Aizawa 7. This was actually the top 10. I was really trying to put myself into a position where if it was not in fact the top 10, I wouldn't look stupid. But no, it backfired on me. It was in fact the top 10. I cannot believe a movie character made it into the top 10. I mean, again, I have not seen the movie, so I'm not, like, trying to dunk on him. It's just a big, like, damn, like, none of the other movies did that as far as I could tell. Like, I'm sure the characters were on the popularity poll at some point, but, like, damn, congrats. Okay, so, yeah, Endeavor beating Toshinori is actually really cool. I don't know if that happened before, but, like, having it be Endeavor, Uraraka, Toshinori, like, that's a very respectable 11, 12, 13. Dabi also pretty darn high up. And yeah, Shigaraki at 18, respectable. Like, considering, again, like, how packed the series is, I can buy it. I definitely, I'm surprised he's, not higher, but at the same time, I can even understand, like, Dabi being above Shigaraki. Because, like, Dabi had such a, Dabi's dance is still, like, one of the most iconic moments in the series. Like, the most iconic thing I can think of with Shigaraki is just, like, when the moment he is liberated, like, when his hair changes. Like, even with all the stuff we've gotten after that, I still think liberated Shigaraki is, like, the thing I think about if you say Shigaraki moment in My Hero. Honestly, not that bad placement for the villains. And damn, Mirio still relatively high up. Is there a mustard fan club? Like all the villains up to that point that we got, like, I fully understand why they would be relatively high. But damn, Mustard being higher than Mirko is wild. There is a future out there, or there's an alternate timeline in which we have so much Mustard fan art, and Mirko has, like, 3 pieces of fan art, and everyone was like, why would we draw her? We have Mustard. Oh man, twice being beaten by what I assume is just Deku's freckles. Oh, get dunked on twice. And yeah, after this point, yeah, I doubt they're going to be that interesting. Oh, we don't even get illustrations for most of them. Oh, is that the Endeavor plushie? But yeah, the top 10 is not what I would have chosen for the top 10, but it's respectable enough, more or less. My Hero is one of those series where, like, I'm not super fired up about the popularity polls. Just because of the sheer variety of characters and the fact that, like, it is the kind of series where I can definitely see a lot of people, like, having really niche feelings about certain characters. Like, in the same way that, like, if they put out a Dr. Stone popularity poll, I would almost certainly vote for, wait, did they? I was about to say I would obviously vote for Ginro, but I feel like as I was saying that, I could envision myself saying, I really want to vote for Ginro, but of course I can't. I've got to vote for, and then blank. This does make me appreciate this even more, though. God, Aizawa and his big tabby cat is such a mood. But alright, let's actually read a chapter of My Hero Academia. Oh my, Endeavor taught us that build up and release stuff. But I ain't settling for just one blast. I'm saving up beads of sweat for a barrage of booms all at once. Gonna be a sweaty, sweaty boy. Oh boy, Deku's hair is annihilated. Oh, okay, cool. In order to achieve a body even Dabi can't burn. So cool. Like, finally trying to, like, integrate the powers now that his fire's as strong as his ice. I wonder if he's, like, this could just be extreme temperature regulation, because we know he can do that. Like, it could be a, like, make the body really cold in order to, like, stand up to the heat. But also, like, he does have some level of resistance to both cold and heat. And so I wonder if he can, like, specifically strengthen his heat resistance. Like, without changing the temperature of his body. If he can, like... I can't explain how it would work. But, like, if his temperature resistance is also, like, a physical part of him, like, can you just train that and make that stronger so he can, like, flex real hard and then be impervious to other people's heats? Or I guess the way he's saying it, because it is like, right and left, my entire body is one. I guess it might be a combination of, like, training his body to accept, that maximum heat outputs, even more so than what he can normally create. And then on top of that, using his ice to cool down his body. So should anything, like, start to really, should any heat start to get through, he can still cool it down, which adds this other, like, layer of protection. Meanwhile, Mineta and Kaminari... I still am not going to give up on the idea that Kaminari is the traitor. Like, it still makes the most sense to me. It's possible that Invisible Girl and Kaminari are both traitors, but, like, fundamentally, I do not understand how they would explain that just Invisible Girl was the traitor. Like, the jamming stuff is the biggest one. Don't let me shift around my opinions. Like, I remember going through, like, the big, like, spreadsheets and whatnot of people trying to figure out, like, of characters that can be the traitor, who makes the most sense. I don't want to go through all of that right now. I wish we had actually, like, a Class 1A, like, big sheet so I could go through all of them. I mean, this is number 336 villain, so I feel like if I'm going to do it, I should do it now. But I can't just look up cast, because I mean I was in the Attack on Titan fandom. I remember the horror show of looking up, like, Titan Shifter and immediately getting, like, 3 characters, that are, that the anime have, or, like, the manga has already said, like, these are Titan Shifters, and the anime, like, viewers have not gotten there at all. But, like, off the top of my head. So, Uraraka, because, she wants money, it's possible she's been, working undercover all this time, but there's no way. Like, the rationale for that one was, like, maybe she's like, if we only see that she likes Deku, we could just be not seeing the parts where she's like, I'm gonna send this message to All for One. Ha ha ha. Also, like, any hero with, like, more tech in their suits, like, or, like, more, like, stuff on them, like, that was a big one. That was a big, like, like, Bakugo could have, like, a tracker or something. Or Araka, always has, like, a relatively bulky suit, so she could have definitely, like, snuck in, like, something to tell the League where they were in the forests. Like, Jiro, potentially. Obviously, Kaminari. I don't believe anyone thought Mineta. I believe, like, one of the funniest things is that, as much as people hate Mineta, everyone had to admit, like, yeah, the only thing that makes sense is if he's so hateable because he's going to be a traitor. But I fully believe he is not the traitor. There's no way. Oh yeah, is Gigantomachia still asleep? Yeah, I've kind of lost interest in going through every single character. I will just eat my words if it turns out that it is a niche character and I go like, oh right, it was this, I remember this theory. I will admit that I did not call it. Whereas, if Kaminari is the traitor, I have 100% called it. Oh, Nutsack Face is the world champ at hide and seek. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a hide-and-seek quirk. I actually am really curious how they would explain that. Because, like, if he was, priority number one for at least, like, some faction, like, how in the world has he hit himself? Because, I mean, to be fair, All Might found him once. Like, that did happen, but after that point, like, he's been so on the down low. I mean, it helps that he had, like, a Nomu with the ability to teleport. So I'm sure he could have, like, multiple safe houses that just are never used and that are designed so that, like, you would just not suspect them. There's no sign of life at all. And then he could just, like, poof between, two of them for a while. Like, until the plot of the series really started kicking off. Oh, Kaminari's being dunked on by all these good points. But yeah, if he just shows up and starts blasting, like, no one can really stop that. Whew. Oh, this is such a cute Deku look. I love the, like, freckles peeking through his singed hair. That is so cute. Oh, this is also super cute. Okay. Ever since all the stuff in Gunga and Jaku, you've been down in the dumps. I mean, we all felt that way, but still. Okay. Huh. But it seems like she's thinking it. Like, it's possible that Kaminari is thinking this, but no, I think it's supposed to be coded that, Invisible Girl is the one thinking this. It is the, like, you've been thinking this, or you've been down in the dumps. So it has to be that she's thinking about someone else. But you haven't smiled once since Midoriya came back to us. You always pulled off just what All For One asks. I mean, she's got to at the very least know if she's not, like, working with the other traitor. Like, assuming that she is, in fact, a traitor. Okay, come on, gonna turn the page. Is this Kaminari? Fail now and he'll kill us. You know that, Yuga. Okay? I cannot believe I gave up my I called it card. I did not call it. The rationale for him, like, I remember him actually being pretty high up on the list, and I did think that it would make sense. Like, the idea for that was, what if he is quirkless? Like, what if he does not have a quirk, and his beam is just a thing that he is wearing? Like, instead of it being a thing that, like, controls his quirk, what if it is, like, it's just a laser he carries around with him? Or alternatively, he's not quirkless, and he has, like, an ability that he could have used to, like, No, it was specifically, like, he could have a different quirk and, pull that out in order to dominate everyone. But the quirk he is pretending to have is, just firing the laser, which also does genuinely, like, give him diarrhea. And then the idea was that, like, for the jamming, like, he could have just had it set up so it would, like, he could press a button and it would, like, activate a jammer or counter jammer. So I'm curious to see how they're going to play this one off. You even provided him the forced training camp location. No one was ever the wiser. I wonder if we're going to recontextualize, like, the scene of him going to Midoriya's room, like, like 100 chapters ago, because that was also a very big, like, is he the is he the traitor? What's going on? But okay, so she is just, like, witnessing all of this. Hayama, all this time. Okay, so his quirk was given to him. I'm assuming it is still the laser. And that would make sense in the sense of, like, he has the ability to fire a naval laser, but his body isn't designed at all to handle it. And so he needs to have the belt in order to regulate it in a way that, like, someone born with it might be able to regulate it just by virtue of, their body also, like, with, if it's even not, like, part of the quirk, it might just be, like, a separate thing that their body has done to, like, get ready for it. So they're not constantly having diarrhea. Oh, that's so creepy. This might also be, like, the best shot we've had of All For One's face. Like, usually we have it cut off, like, here at the most. Like, maybe a little bit of nose, but even then, we usually no nose. It's usually just mouth. Like, even when he is in the shadow, / even when his face hasn't been annihilated, I should say. Because obviously, we've seen his whole head a whole bunch when it's been annihilated. Horikoshi-san. God, this is a good hand. I would put it in the hand channel, but I don't want to post spoilers from the latest chapter in the hand channel. That's a good hand. Okay, so she spotted someone. Is she just gonna book it? When All For One was finally caught in Kamino, for a moment I mistakenly let myself believe that just maybe I was free to have true friends and put an end to my acting. God, that's so fucking heavy. Now, this does feel a little rushed. Like, I can already hear Homie commenting right now, and I will acknowledge that. Like, of all the ways to bring out the traitor thing, this is a pretty weird way to do it. Like, they're just talking about it in the middle of the woods. That is actually a really good one. Again, I'm not really, like, super tapped into the community, but I wonder if anyone caught that. Or if everyone was just like, I can't take it. Not from you. Aww. Oh, he spelled it out with the cheese. Fuck. I mean, all they can really do is, like, if they lock his parents in here, like, yeah, like, All For One could still, like, bust in, but All For One might bust in anyways. I feel like that's the only thing they can do is just, lock his parents away, or, like, use their connection to him to find a way to, like, to make the first strike. And once that's there, then, hide them away, make sure that he can't get to them. Now, I'm still gonna say that Kaminari is maybe not the traitor, but a traitor. I don't know if I can justify it anymore. I don't think I can justify it. Because, like, we have explicitly said that the jammer was Aoyama. Or actually, no. What we specifically said, actually, was that he provided the fourth training camp location. Nobody said that he was jamming it. It's still possible that it was, in fact, Kaminari. It's back on the table. I'm still doubling down on, like, there's not just one traitor. Also, very iffy about Hagakure not being the traitor, in the sense, like, the last chapter ending was such a, it was such a bait and switch in hindsight then. It is such a, like, it still makes sense. It is still, like, we're cutting to Hagakure, who is, like, observing the traitor as, the traitoring is being revealed. But, like, yeah, it's such a clear bait. As opposed to a clear, like, oh, we just understand. Like, it is fundamentally that we don't understand the context, but also, I don't think it's fair. But I was right to be iffy about Hagakure not being the traitor, and therefore, I have to conclude I am completely right in Kaminari also being a traitor. I will hold on to this one as hard as I held on to the concept of Lockrock dying. Anyways, talking about the chapter itself and not my preconceptions. Good chapter. I mean, I spent so long on this color page, but it's so good. I'm excited to see, like, how all three of them evolve once more. It was nice to get the, clear wrap of, like, hey, here are the three things you should be thinking about. Like, tracking them down now might be more possible if, if the traitors around double traitors. Because, like, presumably there has to be a way they're communicating with the big bad, with All For One. And it can't just be through the doctor, because, like, clearly they're not, like, they still think that they can communicate with him. I still, boy. But yeah, this is not my favorite execution possible, but, like, it was still pretty darn good. And also, bushy hair Deku is so cute. So unbelievably cute. God damn. Anyone who was screaming from, from the forest, like, Aoyama's gotta be the traitor, big props, you nailed it, you got it. I gotta give it to you. But yeah, like, I wasn't super invested in it, so it's not really hitting me now, but I do think when I, like, if I reread the series, I imagine this is going to hit me a lot harder. Like, seeing all the pieces again. So, that is My Hero Academia. Pretty darn good, but not an absolute banger. Yeah, like, it's no Undead Unluck. I would not say it is as good as Shoha Shoten Chapter 2. I'll put it above Doron Dororon, but even Chapter 3, I think it was a bit better than Chapter 3. Chapter 3 was, I mean, it's hard to compare something like this to something like Chapter 3 of Shoha Shoten. They're so fundamentally different, but I think that's fair. Okay, next we've got Me and Roboco, Chapter 68. Going back to the Shueisha building. I see the mangaka has run out of ideas. Ooh, I'm actually pretty excited to see the serialization meeting. Oh boy, okay, what is he evolved to? Because, like, he's no longer second year, right? And we've already gone through, two other names, so what is he now? Was this in his butt? What is this? Like, I don't know if this is coming out of him or if, like, this guard is, like, stabbing him. Immediate, non-stop jump. We're just not going to talk about this one. I mean, he immediately got up and took the chains off. So I guess he was just being punished until he came outside. So what's the twist here going to be? I mean, obviously, these are the Zoldike, like, gates. But is it just a strength thing, or is it a, like, you have to have this many Tonkabon sales in order to open this? In order to avoid spoilers leaking, gaining entry to the Jump editorial department is no easy feat. Its formal name is the Testing Gate, and since once you go in, you don't come out alive, it's also known as the Door to Hades. To be fair, I imagine a good percentage of people reading me and Roboco are, like, big fans of old Jump stuff. But on the other hand, I imagine a lot of the, like, I feel this works very well, like, if you are very into Hunter x Hunter, and also if you have no idea what Hunter x Hunter is. Guess we're unworthy to enter. To be fair, I am genuinely, how do I put this? I don't really know what the purpose of the multi-tiers of the gates are. I mean, I guess it is, as you say, it is a testing gate. Like, I'm talking about in Hunter x Hunter itself. Like, there are, like, many layers to the gates, and you know, the stronger you are, the more of the gate you can open. But you only need to open, like, at least the first 2 parts in order to get in. Like, I don't think when at the very start, when Killua and Gon go to his parents' house, I don't know if they actually, like, just open the first one. I feel like it's at least the first 2. It's wild that they're doing this gag when we have seen the Jump editorial department in Me and Roboco before. I mean, granted, it was like this, but still. I mean, it was less chaotic. There's less damage. It was more just like goofballs being dumb. I thought that was a pattern on the floor, but no, that's a blood stain. Oh, I didn't even see this person who was, like, smashed into the ceiling. The new hires aren't breathing. Then bury him with last week's issue. Oh, this knuckle shirts. A lot of Hunter x Hunter references this time around. Everything is secondary to the creation of entertaining manga, including human life. This is pretty cursed. I mean, honestly, having a gorilla in editorial might be good for Ruri. Like, if anyone can deal with this gorilla, it would be Ruri. This is basically just her brother. His inability to speak is occasionally an issue. How did he get here? Also, I assumed this was just a weird, it's a One Piece joke, because that's obviously Big Mom, that's obviously Shanks. But this is a gorilla. So maybe they are just going to have a Big Mom parody and a Shanks parody in here. Oh, it's the editor-in-chief. So nice. So nice. Oh, it's a little chopper. The chief is famous for giving out a lot of souvenirs. Editors are basically trash who only think about themselves, see? But the chief gives everyone gifts, dresses professionally, and says good morning. He's such a wonderful person that you'd never guess he's an editor. So crushing. Oh. Why would you bring a volume of Shonen magazine here? Why? Wait, so he was a spy. I assumed that he was just freaking out over a person who brought in a competing magazine, but no, this was just a shot. This was just a spy from Shonen Magazine who came here with a volume of Shonen Magazine. That's Make the Jump, the chief's special ability. What? What do you mean? The power to turn anything they touch into Shonen Jump. Everyone above Section Chief has a hen ability. It's the power to control editorial energy at will. I mean, it's basically just the same as Nen. What in the world? I mean, this is true courage. This is terrifying. Oh yeah, it took me until right now to realize that, yeah, this is a manga chapter with Ruri where we didn't have to deal with Roboco's bad manga. Oh, I wonder if this is gonna, we didn't say this is a 2-part or anything, but this is such a weird place to end it. Like, we have 2 of the 4 emperors. Mr. Second Year is now just a volume of Shonen Jump. We didn't do anything. Like, we just came in here, which, to be fair, is what he said. Like, he brought up the, like, we're going to go to the meeting, or, that you're going to be talked about at the meeting. But what he said was just, I'm going to show you around. So to be fair, like, that is done. But this is such a weird ending. I feel like we're going to get a part 2. Although, to be fair, like, it feels like the mangaka is very good at just, like, putting these out. So I can definitely see this being just something on the back burner. Like, let's do some more Me and Roboco. If it doesn't do well, we'll finish this one off. Well, this was an okay Me and Roboco. Like, even given the jump jokes, they weren't that good. I mean, they're also mostly just Hunter x Hunter jokes, which is also fine. But it felt a little less polished than the usual chapters. Like, even starting off with the second year, like, coming out in chains and then immediately taking them off, and then we don't really talk about that anymore. Like, it felt kind of slapdash. It was a real, like, here's some funny ideas I had for the editorial department. Let's just do all of them. And then, focus on selling it with also the, the novelty of, we're also just doing a fictionalized version of the Jump department. Isn't that fun? It's okay, but it's not, like, the Me and Roboco standard. So I'm sorry, but I gotta put it relatively low. Yeah, like, it was funny, but I can't put it, above Ayashimon. Okay, time for those Mangaka Comments. Ooh, I wonder what's in Akira Toriyama's manga theater. Because, like, the main series have all been done by Viz already. So I wonder if it's just, like, some one-shots and stuff. I might check that out. Like, I like Akira Toriyama, but I haven't, like, read each and every little thing he's ever done. So, yeah. Could be fun. Thank you for all the votes. Rhodey is a movie character. Amazing. I assume Rhodey is specifically number 9. If I ever run out of things to write here, I'll just put things I want people to say to me. Good to know. Honestly, I'm fine with a mangaka saying, okay, I'm going to do a gimmick. Let me tell you what the gimmick is. Okay, now we're going to do the gimmick. Oh, did Magu-chan also get a popularity poll? Oh, I love the idea of going to Yusei Matsui's grave, just pouring some IPA on his coffin. Well, I guess he said his coffin, not his grave. But still. It wasn't fun at all, so I quit my diet. Now I'm just eating a ton of ramen and stuff. No, Miyazaki-sensei! Chapter 1 had an error with the dates. Oh, that sucks. Like, the chapter people will read, and you already goofed it up. The fries at McDonald's are delicious! Best fries in the world! I mean, people do love McDonald's fries. But ever since I got an air fryer, I have been spoiled for, like frozen fries that you can just air fry. Because, I love them. I love the crunch. Oh, good on Kentaro for getting a shelter cat. All right. So, that is Weekly Shonen Jump for this week. Boy, this is going to come out super duper late. Big apologies for that, but this was really, really fun to do. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything else. I've got, like, 4 hours of raw footage I've got to edit now. So, thank you for continuing to watch these, especially when I put them out late. Like, big, special thanks for that one. Bye for now. Nya nya.